And good morning, everyone. Peter Boyles on the air everywhere. George, the day off, Tuesday, July 18th, 2023. It's good to be back in the seat. Look across through the glass, and there's Billy Thorpe. 710 KNUS Weather Center weather on a Tuesday. It says maybe afternoon storms, and 95 will be the high. 88 Wednesday, we got some rain. Thursday, 83 and got some rain. The weekend looks great. Good morning, everyone. And Billy Thorpe, it is so good to sit there and look at your smiling face. And we got in here this morning.
Is crazy.
Yeah, it's great. But it's wonderful to sit here and be together. And of course, Cousin Louie running the video. And now
we're trying to do a peer pressure thing with Cousin Louie.
We're trying to get a tattoo on Cousin Louie. The tattoo expo's in town. We'll run Cousin Louie down or get a little ink on him. It is interesting how this works. I get to come back on the job this morning, and this is the new Denver Mayor's first day. And if you know what was applesauce, this guy's going to make a great chef. The Denver Mayor now, Mike Johnston, is ending homelessness. Now, I mean, first of all, 303-696-1971. It's nice to be here. It's good to be here. I feel good. And it was really funny last night. Bill and I were talking back and forth. And John Bandimere is going to be on with us this morning at 8 o'clock. I went to the Nationals on Saturday, and I had one of the most amazing experiences. John took me down on the start line, gave me ear protection, big ear protection, Billy. I got a couple of pictures, and with Top Fuel Racers.
Oh, man.
And we stood, I'm going to think, 10 yards.
Oh, that's where you can feel them.
Bill.
Oh, yeah.
And it's each of these cars, like, believe it or not, 13,000 horsepower. And John Force's daughter, Brittany, broke the track speed record.
I read that. That's fantastic.
I mean, and the place was sold out, and it was, the one last time. The good news is, and we didn't know about it, is that John says he's going east and build again, which really makes me happy. But we had a great time, and
that could be huge for him, getting out of that location in the Red Rocks area and going out east, because there are rumors of other entertainment venues going east as well. Yes. And it could be a huge boon for him. Yeah. I mean, the stadium, they're talking Elitch's. Yeah.
Well, that's all the Waltons. I mean, believe
absolutely.
Me. Yeah. That deal was done before they bought the team.
Oh, the problem was that Russell and the team didn't play so well the first day, so they couldn't unveil their grand plan. That'll come as soon as the team's on the positive.
John Elway built them there in their last new stadium.
Yep, absolutely.
It was a combination of people. It was Lee Larson at Clear Channel, Roger Ogden at Channel 9, John Beek, who was GM, and the playing abilities of John Elway.
Yeah.
And they put that one over. And then the next one, and I really love and respect all of those men, so it isn't what I'm talking. They just did it.
Yeah.
Now, you got to believe that the Waltons want to recoup all of that money. That means developing the valley where the Elitch's is, and, taking down the Pepsi Center or whatever it's called now, and that goes, and whatever the name of the you fill in the blank.
Oh, yeah. And
football field goes. Yeah.
They want those parking lots. They want that space for housing, because it's better tax revenue. Yeah.
Now, that's full cycle or full circle back to Denver's mayor, now current mayor, Mike Johnston, who's going to end homelessness in my first term. Woo. Now, 303-696-1971. Do you really think that this mayor can end homelessness? Do you really think that at the end of his first year, I want to give him 4. At the end of his first year, the homeless issue in the city of Denver will be a greater problem than it is right now. If we were to jump ahead, and I'm going to put him on the clock, and I hope I'm still here working weekends and doing fill-in. Say we jump to July 18th, 2024. He's on his first year. Do you think this guy has ended homelessness in his first term?
No. What I want to see if he gets those houses built, because he's
the
talking
minis.
About the tiny homes, and I want to see that is that even possible? Where's the money going to come from? He's going to be able to get it. Can he get those things built at the price that he thinks he's going to? Because he has a price that is outlined in his plan. And I'm not certain that given where pricing has gone, whether or not those prices are still good, because that's what we keep hearing about all of the construction in town is that, oh my gosh, supply, what you're paying for the concrete, what you're paying for the nails, what you're paying for the wood is so much more expensive. Are they going to be able to get, and then where are the houses going? Who's getting the tiny homes with all the homelessness in their neighborhood? I mean, maybe we can get Alberta Simmons. Yeah, do that one.
Start again.
Yeah. But the councilwoman, it's not Alberta because he's the worker, but the
big A.
No, but the guy that was on the Denver City Council. That said that he would take the
Alberta Simmons.
That he would take the safe injection sites near his house.
Put one next to him.
Yeah, that's let's go see if he'd take his backyard's free. We can do some of that.
You're a jive and a jitty.
Exactly.
But these are the Mike Johnston Stay Free mini pads. That's what I named them last night.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Putting my notes together. And called. And remember what Stay Free mini pads really were, right? And so the Mike Johnston Stay Free mini pads. Now, and the other part of this too is, do you think these people really want to change their lives? Do you really think that they want to come in and live in Stay Free mini pads or whatever the hell it is?
Yeah.
And there was a guy. And Bill and I were talking about it. We have an encampment. Describe it here.
We have an encampment that kind of spreads. We're right up against the edge of the Cherry Creek Reservoir, right at 225 in Parker. And along that fence, there is an encampment that builds up, and then you have people that seek shelter at the overpass, which is where Parker Road runs over the top of where you get into the station.
Is that which mayor? That's Kaufman's area, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that is Kaufman's. And then you've got a little place, and we've seen TV reports about this one at the 225 interchange with Parker Road, where you're a little bit north and a little bit west. There's a huge group in there. Yeah.
It's Denver.
Huge group over there.
Yeah. And so they're look.
It's like,
having been on the board of the late Bob Cote for over 20 years. And I watched and listened to Bob Cote talk, and he was the man, and they didn't come and see him. So let's start this puppy up. First of all, good morning. Thanks for being here. I'm Peter Boyles, filling in for the one and only George Brauchler. 303-696-1971. This is Mayor Johnston's first day. We should have one of those doomsday clocks like they used to have for nukes.
Yeah, we should.
Okay. I will end homelessness in my first term. How many of you in Radio Land believe that? Number one. Number two, a year from now, will it be better or worse? How can this mayor, and by the way, because I inked this stuff out, he's got a secret plan.
Yes.
Him and Nixon got secret plans. He's done an interview. This was in the Colorado Democrat, which is of all places interesting. Oh, the Colorado Sun, Colorado Democrat. Peter learned to read. So there's this question they go, and here's the Sun. Thinking about the problems that's facing the city, do you have a list of goals you want to accomplish in your first 100 days? Maybe you're planning to announce those in your inaugural speech. Can you give us a preview? Johnson, I can't give away all my secrets. Now, this is a guy who's promising transparency, but the 500 plus transitional committee signed non-disclosure agreements before this began. I promise that's going to be that's going to be transparency. Yeah. However, not for these jokers.
No, not at all.
So we're focused on the 100-day plan, the 1-year plan, and this is Miles stuff. This is Great Leap Forward, glorious people, and homelessness. I think all these things are important. He said, you won't be surprised. Yes, I will.
Yes, we will. Yes.
Wrong again, white man. I will really be surprised. And they're the same ones we talked about over and over and over. And we know homelessness continues to be an important issue the city is facing. 303-696-1971. It's showtime here at the Den of the Golden Panther on a Tuesday, July the 18th, 2023, 95 the high. Tomorrow, 88, get some rain, 83, get some rain on Thursday. Billy Thorpe, Peter Boyles together again. We got a new mayor, folks. And when you thought And the city of Denver's probably never had a worse mayor than Michael Hancock. Seriously. I mean, that guy's the worst. So having said goodbye to Michael, see what he does next. I don't know the break chart, so I have to rely totally on Bill. Okay, I'll do the phone calls. All right. We go to Marcus, line 1, my boy. Good morning. Thanks for calling.
Well, it's good to hear you, Peter.
Thanks, brother.
Long time. And I'm looking at a few things. Do you have that free busing and trains in Denver for 2 months? And I think they're trying to get them out of downtown, in Aurora and Adams.
They're not going, brother. They're not going anywhere.
I know. But Johnson, he reminds me of Hickenlooper. Remember the meters and everything?
Oh, yeah, sure.
It ain't going to change. Bob had the right idea, like you said.
Oh, of course.
And so,
do you honest to God believe any of these lies? I mean, pardon me, that Mike Johnston's going to end homelessness?
No,
no.
Where did Hickenlooper go?
Became senator. If you lie enough, it becomes senator.
You know, they're so shady. I mean, and Hancock was the dirtiest.
Oh,
it's like, God.
They're shady. I like your word, shady. The real Slim Shady was Michael Hancock.
Well, you know it. And that guy got away with so many things.
Got away with it.
His son in Aurora,
everything.
Threatening them,
No, that was Hancock's kid.
Yeah.
That wasn't Hickenlooper's kid. That was Hancock's
I mean,
kid.
Hancock's kid. And then the Broncos, it never ends with Denver, does it?
No, because we got a bunch of weak sisters in the media. I mean,
there you go.
I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, Channel 9 cheers this on, and the rest of these guys at Denver Post, and the problem is it's good to be sitting in the seat in the morning, but I listen to stuff and I'm going, this is shameful. Somebody had to be grabbing these people by the back of the neck and going and shaking them like a mother dog shakes her puppies when they're wrong. Johnson is no more going to end any of this than fly to the moon. It's just the truth.
It is.
But they got the inaugural ball. All the anchors are there. The sucking up continues. Would somebody at last tell the truth? It ain't going to happen.
It ain't. That's all I had to say, Peter.
You're the man.
Good
all right. Now, excuse me. 303-696-1971. Got a new mayor. We got a doomsday clock. He's going to build stay free mini pads. He's going to end homelessness in his first term. I want to know what you think. I mean, what a jitterbug. All right. So John Bandimere is on the show at 8:00. Saturday, we get to do the radio show from 9 until noon. Sturgis is coming up, and some of my best friends just got back from Milwaukee, the 120th. But there's a legend, and his name is Jeff Decker. And David Ewell introduced me to Jeff Decker, I don't know how long ago. Jeff Decker is one of the most brilliant people I've ever known in my life. Decker lives in Utah. His father, and he'll talk about it, his father and Steve McQueen. So there was a hangar and that Steve McQueen bought where he stored his airplanes and his bikes and his cars. And Decker went there as a little boy, and there's like Von Dutch is there, and Big Daddy Ed Roth, and also, Allie McGraw. All kinds of amazing things took place. Decker is one of the most gifted artists I've ever known in my life. He's a bike builder. He's a collector. He's a great storyteller. So as we're headed into to the Hajj, and so Decker will do our radio show Saturday mornings on at 10. And if you it's one of those sit back, put your feet up and listen. So Jeff Decker, part of the Saturday show. On the website, 710knus.com, on our shoot, you click on shows and you click on me. And we did the producers. and it was Billy, and it was Casey, and it was Leroy. And it had really bad audio. And then Mark Crowley cleaned it up. It's without a doubt. I've watched it 2 times, once with bad audio, and then I watched it a second time, but it's on the producers on producing radio shows. And it's really, really good stuff. So 95, the high today, 88 tomorrow, get some rain, 303-696-1971. Your turn. What do you really think? This guy will make it worse. This new mayor, can he really end homelessness? And here's his quote. While he's a candidate, Denver Mayor candidate Mike Johnston, we, meaning himself, collectively, can end homelessness in my first term. How the hell would that work? All right, everybody, 303, there's nobody on the lines, 303-696-1971. Peter Boyles for the one and only George Brauchler. Morning Tuesday, 18 July 2023, 710 KNUS, the voice of the people. 95 will be the high, 88 tomorrow with thunderstorms, 83 Thursday. Rain comes into the city. We now have a new mayor, Mike Johnston, and I love this texter, really brilliant. I said, I don't live in Denver, but I'm listening to him. He's already started his campaign for governor. God, is that smart? Sure he is. I mean, this guy Johnson, like the rest of them, you know, they always have their eyes on the prize. He said he's going to end homelessness in his first term. Let's go to the phones. This is Jennifer. Jennifer, you're on the radio show. Good morning.
Pete, I woke up and turned on my radio, and it was like 2 years ago. It was a miracle.
It was a miracle. It was a time machine.
I love it.
Me and
I
Wells.
love it.
Me and Wells.
I love you talking about Mike Johnston because he is promising to end homelessness. And unfortunately, you and I both know anytime you subsidize something, you're going to get more of it.
Sure. And I've dubbed, he's talking about these little houses. And so, last night I was putting their show together and I dubbed them Stay Free Mini Pads. If you remember what those were. And so he said, I've got tons. I've just downloaded so much of them. Over 4 years, the city will build 20 micro communities. There's new speak, political speak. These will include a mix of tiny homes on city-owned land and converted hotels, providing 1,400 units where people can live. Some residents might stay for long-term, really, while others would be transitioned into permanent housing options, which he doesn't explain, opening up space for other people experiencing homelessness. The housing would be funded by $138 million of a one-time federal stimulus funding. So entire encampments would be moved into buildings or communities at any time, ensuring social structure. This is just verbal diarrhea. But
my concern, go ahead.
No, you say.
Well, my concern is, first of all, he uses this magic number of 1,400. I would speculate there are a lot more homeless in Denver. Plus, you provide these homes, and you're going to draw everybody from the metro area to Denver.
Sure.
Additionally, what kind of services are going to be? I mean, he's talked about providing services.
Well, that was what Hickenlooper's 10-year plan to end homelessness. Just got a text, geez, the guy's been in office one freaking day. Give him a break. No, the point is he's told these lies and he's there now. Now he's on the clock. And the texter wants to know, what's your resolution to homelessness? Quit helping them. Bob Cote, Bob Cote's great line. You want to help them?
Yeah, Douglas County doesn't have a huge homeless problem because they don't provide services. Now, I'm not saying I am not unempathetic, but to think that this is a silver bullet, it's a little concerning. I suspect that we'll have a greater issue in 4 years.
Well,
and he is on his first day of the job.
No.
And he's hopeful.
No.
I get it.
No. You got to name it and then you claim it. I want to have one of those clocks like the nuclear clock, the doomsday clock. And now, so this is day one. Do you really think at 365 days from now that anything's going to, I think it'll be worse. I don't think it'll be better. And their answer to this is very, 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 very easy. And the late, great Bob Cote, and I sat next to him or in the office when he would meet with family members. And he would say, you want to help them? And they'd say, yes. And Bob would say, then don't help them. Anytime that this is encouraging, anytime you do this stuff, when the 10-year plan to end homelessness was announced, Bob Cote was pulling his hair out. He said, watch, it's a clarion call for every bum and junkie and alkie and street alkie and criminal to come to Denver. And guess what? They did.
Yeah, I think I have some concerns about when you amass people. You're just going to buy yourself social problems. There's going to need to be some policing and mental health services. He's talked about providing all these services, but
if these
I don't know.
Want it, if they want it, do you think these people that Billy was talking about and that we've all seen, do you think they really want to come off the street? Being honest.
I think some do, but unfortunately, you have those who don't, and I think that they're going to overshadow everything.
No, they don't want to. I watched, it was at Channel 7, and it was, I don't know, I was still gigging every day. And this big raw bone kid, he's standing, you can see Step Denver over his shoulder because all those guys were on. And he said, we have nowhere to go. And he was more than capable of working. The point of it was right over there, see that door, walk in it, but you got to stay sober and you got to go to work. And you have to do that. These people, they have no intention. And this is the part of it that's so, when I look at these liberals, the bleeding heart libs, we can help. No, you can't. And each and every time you try to help, you just make it worse. I have some wonderful friends that over the weekend, the daughter of my good friend, her boyfriend's kid, 26 years old, an alkie. And they keep taking care of him. And so finally he said, okay, I want to change. And because he's just buying time, they called me and what did they do? And I go, well, take him to the detox. He doesn't want to go to detox.
Mm-hmm. It's really sad. I mean, this man does have 4 years to prove himself. That's for sure. I am concerned about his plan, which I was during the campaign season, but we'll see. Maybe he has a silver bullet. I don't know.
He can't. He doesn't. That doesn't exist. The only way that silver bullet exists, I wrote a column that's in the Chronicle that a year from now, Denver, San Francisco. And I love the greatest email of the morning. I don't think anything's going to get better. This is Mike Johnston's first step to becoming the next governor because Polis will be gone.
Yeah, I agree.
Brilliant. It's brilliant. And
I think there were concerns of that too during the campaign that Kelly Brough only wanted to be mayor and that Johnston was using this as a stepping stone.
And the Kelly Brough commercials, and I put it in the column, and you're crowing, and she put that she was connected to Bill Ritter and John Hickenlooper. And I'm thinking, I don't know who let you say those things, but Bill Ritter, please, and John Hickenlooper started this insanity. And she said, I worked for them. That's like saying, I worked for Nixon and Johnson. I think, are these people really, so we now sit at this crossroads and it's going to get worse. But I think the glowing Denver media and covering I guess there's an inaugural ball and, all this stuff. And I'm going like, no, dude, let's see what he's saying. What does that mean for the Denver taxpayer, the citizen of the city?
You bring up a good point because I heard somebody say during the campaign, it's great that he's got all this financial support. And of course, then we see all these donors come forward on, financing this inaugural event last night. Where will be the support for all these social programs? He's talking about the federal grants and stuff like that. Wouldn't it be great if all these supporters came through and made donations to help these programs he's trying to launch?
But remember, and it goes back to prior to Ronald Reagan and people that spoke up, and they called these people poverty pimps, and that they were making a living off of the troubles of the inner city. And they got dubbed the poverty pimps. And I think we have a class in this city right now of poverty pimps that is a greater structure, perhaps, than the, quote, homeless themselves. And when I read Johnson's plan, it's no different than Hancock's plan. It's no different than Hickenlooper's plan. Why do I think it's going to work? Because it's not. So, but the glowing, the afterglow that I've witnessed in Denver's principal media, I'm going, Peter, it's a little song, it's a little dance. It's a little seltzer down your pants. And they've done it. Remember that? They've done it to you before. And they're going to, and the other one too is, and I was off, is watch your Broncos move their stadium, get a new stadium out of the taxpayer, redevelop that entire valley. Illich's will go. This is the Waltons. The Waltons at their best. So once again, you want to see the sucker, go look in the mirror.
Well, we got 4 years to see what's going to
right.
happen, but I am delighted today to hear you.
You're a kind woman. Thank you. All right. 303-696-1971. Coming up, the one, the only John Bandimere will be with us at 8:00. And I just had the most amazing Saturday with John. And 710knus.com, and click on shows, click on me. And we did a shoot on the producers. And there's Billy, and there's Casey, and there's Leroy. And it really is very well put together. I mean, has nothing to do with me, with Crowley. It's your turn, 303-696-1971. Denver Mayor, we can end homelessness in my first term. I want to see it. I want to see it. Johnston says, I'll end homelessness in my first term. Really? Back after this with your calls.
Imagine the lifelong impact of a journey to the Holy Land, surrounded by like-minded travelers. Picture yourself stepping foot in iconic locations right out of history. With nationally syndicated radio hosts Dennis Prager and Mike Gallagher, you'll gain firsthand understanding of the spiritual and political importance of this vital region.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher here. I hope you'll join Dennis Prager and me on an amazing journey through Israel in October 2023.
Discover Israel's vibrant culture and why this nation is such a strategic partner for the United States. Join Dennis Prager and Mike Gallagher on this life-enriching Israel tour, October 25th through November 3rd, 2023. For more information, call 855-565-5519 or visit standwithisraeltour.com.
So good to be back in the mornings. Tuesday, the 18th of July, 2023. I'm Peter Boyles. Denver has a new mayor, Mike Johnston, and we're not letting him get up. It's good morning. 95 will be the high today, 88 on Wednesday, lightning on Thursday, and the weekend looks great. On Saturday morning, I get to do 9 to noon, and we'll spend time with the legendary Jeff Decker. We have one line open. We start with Brian. Hey, Brian, you're on a radio show, man. Thanks.
Hey, Pete, good to hear you in the morning. A long-time listener, man.
Thank you.
You know, this whole Denver situation's a mess. It's been a mess, and you know, I'm old enough where I was going down there in my college days in the 90s, mid 90s, and people would come in from out of town and be like, you know, how clean. They would comment on how clean this city is, and you know, ever since Hickenlooper took over, it just became a nightmare. And I stopped going to Denver.
It starts before that, but
I stopped going to Denver a few years ago when I was almost accosted by a homeless person in front of my kids. Going to a Rockies game. It scared my kids to death. And I said, you know, I'm never doing this again because I won't give the guy a buck.
Oh, I mean, it's Denver's 10-year plan to end homelessness was more of the political idiocy of John Hickenlooper. And so we begin with that. But before that, I mean, all of this stuff, and it happens across the country, principally when Democrats and the liberal colleagues, they are poverty pimps. I mean, and somehow they feel that by taking care of someone. And so in essence, what this street alcoholic is saying to you is, do for me what I will not do for myself. Take care of me.
Well, it's handout city, Pete, and you know, if you give them, if you don't, there's real ways to help them. Step Denver. I mean, let's just say that program works. I'm a big fan. I gave him my old jet ski. Was it 7 years ago? I gave him my old jet ski because you were on the radio with him. You spent a whole day on a marathon with him and listening to these stories and having them. And I gave him my old jet ski. That's something I'm willing to do. And, you know, Mayor Hancock's just an extension of Hickenlooper. Johnson's an extension of Hancock. One thing is Kyle Clark threw Hancock under the bus just the other day saying he's selfish. But, gee, too little, too late, Kyle.
Yeah, the guy.
12 years later, this guy destroys our city, and he's selfish now.
Yeah, the guy's slipping out the back door. And I got a bunch of my friends who sent me messaging on that. And I went, that guy's going out the back door so you throw a rock at him, you know. No, they're laying down for the new guy. But it's one of the things that strikes me, and we did a radio show, we got it off the ground on Saturday, last Saturday, we were doing other stuff, is why is Denver radio so bad? And you can name names. And then, so last night I'm vamping up on the show and I thought, why is the Denver Post so bad? Why is television news so bad? Because no one's watching, no one's reading, and no one's listening. It's just the truth. And
it's these one hits on social media that anybody cares about. And in the meantime, they're destroying every city. Yeah. My wife just came from Portland, and the Uber driver's like, no, don't go here at night. Don't go this place at night. And then she's thinking she's going to go see this beautiful city. And the Uber driver's like, I've been here for 20 years and it's a nightmare. Do not go to these places that you want to go. And like you said, we'll be San Francisco and Portland in less than 3 years.
Watch.
And they're going to get these injection sites in there. That's going to be the next one.
Of course it will.
And then just like what you saw in Vancouver, and I tell you what, I'm out of the state. I've already told George I'm leaving soon. I can't sit and watch this.
Well, Johnson, I loved, and I wasn't that smart to say it, but this is his step towards being the replacement for again, when the governor steps down to run for president. This guy has his eyes on the prize. I mean, I'm going, why wasn't I that smart? It's exactly what's going to happen. As always, man.
You think Polis is going to do it, though?
Yes.
Not in 24. He's not going to do it in 24 because Newsom's going to be there for the Dems when Biden kicks the bucket.
You got to watch the dogfight, though, because Gavin Newsom, I don't think could catch a cold outside of California. It's interesting. I'm looking at new bikes, and my friends, because there's motorcycles in California, and these guys waved me off. And I said, why? And they said, because all the EPA equipment, all the installs that are on motorcycles in California, you don't want a Cali bike. I never knew that they have. And so I don't think that Newsom, he couldn't catch dog catch. Now, he could obviously, I mean, it's hard to know what New York would do with a guy like that. But
if he could beat anybody we have on our bench, on that Republicans have on their bench, I mean, we got nobody. We got nobody. So Newsom could beat anybody that's running right now.
That may be. But they may look at Polis in a different manner because
VP Polis.
Maybe. That's not impossible either.
VP Polis, first lady, first this, first that.
It's not impossible.
First man.
No, it's not impossible.
It's going to be, that's what I'm saying. It's a Polis Newsom ticket, maybe. But
maybe.
Polis, I don't know. You know, Democrats want to be the first with everything. So first homosexual president.
That
VP,
part of it, that doesn't.
First black VP.
Yeah, but that doesn't bother me.
It did with Obama, Pete, and it's going to matter again with this transgender movement.
No, Obama beat two candidates that the Republican Party chooses. The same thing happened in Colorado. Look, when you get beat in a fight, it's your problem. And so as long as you bring in, and she's a lovely woman, but Heidi Ganahl, you're going to get clipped. As long as you run lunatics, you're going to get clipped.
We're notorious. The Republicans are notorious for bringing weak candidates to the table. And look at the presidential candidates. I don't see any of those that are strong on anything. Really, they're just industrial military complex.
You bet.
Weak puppets. I mean, who do we have?
No.
Mike Pence? I mean, give me a break.
No, I agree.
All right. Thanks,
man.
Pete.
Thank you. We go to Corey. Corey, it's let me see, it's 6:53, excuse me. Corey, you're on a radio show. Good morning, man. Thank you.
Good morning, Peter. Hey, I've been working inside the Denver Municipal Administration for 33 years. I just want to bring you back in history to Hickenlooper, who brought in as his legal advisor, Cole Finnegan.
You bet.
Remember him? And
very
he's
well.
Now the U.S. Attorney for the U.S. District of Colorado.
Actually, I actually know him. I actually know Cole Finnegan. Yeah.
Yeah, he's incompetent as hell. Putting him in charge of any kind of prosecution is the worst idea.
Can I take a quick sidebar? I'm reading this book right now called Getting Gaudy, and it's about Diane Jackalone and a guy named James Gleason. Gleason writes the book, and they went after John Gotti. Remember the woman Diane Jackalone? And how all those Italian gangsters treated her, and the other, I mean, it's brutal, but it's called Getting Gaudy, and I'm as far as how Bruce Cutler keeps, they're rigging juries, they're doing everything they can, but the bottom line is Bruce Cutler's one hell of a lawyer. Yeah,
but Cole Finnegan, he's a politician.
Remember
the day I was in the Webb building the day after Trump won, and Cole Finnegan's plans to go to D.C. to be part of Hillary's campaign administration was shot. He has no business being a head prosecutor of anything.
No, but
real quick, I want to kind of remind you that in Hickenlooper's administration, remember the timing of the road to end homelessness. When was that program supposed to reach maximum effectiveness? Just before the DNC arrived.
Oh, sure.
Peter.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with homelessness. It had to do with cleaning up Denver streets and making a good impression on everybody.
But we watched that before when they were talking about Major League Baseball, and the commissioner was Commissioner White, and Cote's down there, and every gangbanger, every homeless guy they got rounded up. They got a couple of nights in the cooler. They got rid of, they're telling me I got a break here, but they got rid of everybody, cleaned up the street. And as soon as White left town and they got the green light for Major League Baseball, they came back like locusts. But the city and then it was under Federico Pena, and they cleaned it up. I'm getting yelled at. We got a break.
Okay.
Hang on through. We'll come back on your phone calls. Say that again. Oh, music comes in 10 seconds. There, things have not changed. Please look at 710knus.com and click on shows, click on me. We did a shoot called The Producers with Billy Thorpe and Casey and Leroy, and it's so well done. So what do you think? A new mayor is going to end homelessness. My foot. Somebody, Jesus, why don't you give your expert solution to everything you're ragging on? This solution for homelessness, want to help them, don't help them. That's pretty simple. See you on the other side. Morning, everybody. It's a Tuesday, the 18th morning of July, 2023. I'm Peter Boyles filling in for George Brauchler. And, of course, we have our Saturday show now, 9 to noon, here on 710 KNUS, Denver's talk station. 710 KNUS Weather Center weather. Tuesday, 95 will be the high. Wednesday, 88, and got some lightning on the ad there on the piece of paper. Thursday got a little lightning bolt. Friday got a smaller lightning bolt. Saturday, we're here back doing radio. It looks good stuff. We've had pretty much jam lines in and out of the morning, and lines right now are wide open. A bunch of things I'd like to talk about, but principally we are talking about Denver now has a new mayor who is going to end homelessness. And I have a stalker emailer here. We will spend some time with that. But what do you really think? I mean, this new mayor can he end homelessness by spending more money? And we go back to Denver's 10-year plan to end homelessness, John Hickenlooper. We've been up and down all of these stories for so long, but this guy comes in and says, I got all of his quotes, and he is like everyone else. The smartest thing that was said this morning was a texter or an email or whatever these things are that appear on this computer screen. This is his first step towards becoming the next governor. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So a little bit of housekeeping. This Saturday, I get to do 9 to noon, and principal guest we'll do him at 10 o'clock, the legendary Jeff Decker. And if you know much about motorcycles or art, or at the museum, Harley Davidson's museum in Milwaukee, there's a big, tall bronze statue of a hill climber. And he's coming off the bike, and he's got his hand on the throttle, and it's a throwback. That's Decker. Decker sculpted that. Along with David Yule are the two. I mean, they're just amazing as artists in residence. And Jeff's work is incredible, but he's a bike builder. He grew up around Steve McQueen, and he grew up around Von Dutch, for those of you who know the Dutch stories. Ed Roth, Big Daddy Ed Roth, Allie McGraw, Steve McQueen. And he's a kid going to the hangar where they stored all the airplanes, and they were all living there. And he said, he didn't know Steve McQueen was Steve McQueen, but he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. I mean, I just think the world of Jeff Decker, and I asked him to do the radio show, and he will do it on Saturday. John Bandimere is coming up this morning at 8 o'clock. I went to the end of Bandimere, as it's being called. I went to the Mile High Nationals on Saturday, and John Bandimere was simply one of the best guys. And he did something for me that I'll never be able to be like, okay. He came, we were in his box, and he came walking over with a pair of these giant headsets. They were red ones, they were the sound killers. And he said, "Here, put these on." And I'm looking at him. He said, "I'm taking you down on the line." And that's where and they were Top Fuel. And that's when the Top Fuel cars are lining up. And each one of them produces 13,000 horsepower. And these are Top Fuel cars. And it's just amazing what happens. And watching them go. Brittany Force, John Force's daughter, and I got to take a picture with John Force. And he had done the radio show with us years ago because, again, John Bandimere set that up. But Brittany went through the traps at 338 miles an hour. Remember, they were doing that in less than a quarter mile. It was just incredible. And it was sold out. And it was, what a great way for John. And now the announcement comes that they plan on going east. And the Bandimere Speedway had hosted its final national competition in Morrison, but John says, and he's just a good man. And he's going to come on a radio show this morning for a little bit at 8 o'clock and talk about it. The rest of it's is us. 303-696-1971. I'm going to give you a little bit of Mike Johnston. We can end homelessness in my first term. And they're talking about building these little houses and stuff that I have now dubbed Stay Free Mini Pads, the micro communities. They come up with new terms and new definitions for old ideas. And I like the idea of, well, this guy was brilliant, saying, oh, this guy's getting ready to move up because he's got his eyes on the prize, and that's the governor's job. Billy, explain what we're going to listen here, because there's so many different things running here.
Yeah, this is Mayor Mike Johnston yesterday, and we're taking the audio very nicely from KCNC, and he's talking about what he wants you as a citizen of Denver to do. And so this is kind of the beginning. Yeah, this is the classic politician. Here it is.
But for us to succeed, every Denverite must take their own oath. An oath to dream, to serve, and to deliver. The essence of democracy is that it calls on our ability to do something that feels unnatural. To love those who are different than us. To believe in them, to work with them, to sacrifice for them, to deliver for them. That is our dream of Denver.
That's IV drug users. That's like, now that I've learned to call verbal diarrhea. And it's also, there's pie in the sky. And there is pie in the sky if you want to believe that. But that's a pie in the sky speech. And that stirs the hearts of the progressive liberal and the media members to say, at long last,
Peter,
we have a leader. Yes.
He goes even further a little bit later in the speech to talk about, and this is a real quick one, about his promise to not only just the citizens of Denver, but to Denver's homelessness. Listen to this real quickly.
We will get you a home. We will get you help. We will get you healed.
I want that same deal. I want somebody to come and heal me. Right. Now play that again, Billy. That's too good. You gotta Bill's resetting it. This is really, he's going to do this with taxpayer dollars. He's not going to do, do you understand what a four-flusher this is? All right, go ahead, Bill.
Our dream of Denver is a city that belongs to all of us.
Mayor Mike Johnston.
I got to hit it. We have a Cal Clark. Cal Clark. Do you want to run the calls? Okay, I'll run the calls. All right. We start with Patrick. Patrick, you're on a radio show. It's Tuesday morning. Thank you for calling.
Yes. Hello, Peter. I forgot who I voted for Denver, but it wasn't him. But my gosh, he is a politician. I just came back from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, your hometown too.
Yeah.
And I didn't see any homeless people out there.
Well, I don't know. I haven't been in Pittsburgh for a couple of years, so.
I walked the streets night and everything, and it was like they weren't there.
Well, I understand Houston that now I've not been to Houston either, but I've been told that they just said no, that's it. And
yeah.
And I don't have a response, Patrick, because I've not been there.
Yeah, well, someone told me you can see some, on the Allegheny River there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On the side.
That's what I thought.
Clean.
Yeah. No, I thought that that the campsites were on the river, because there's three rivers there, but I thought the campsites were on the river. But yeah. I got to tell you, I haven't been in Pittsburgh for, I don't know, 5 years. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, you take the bus for free if you're over 65.
Well, that's the other thing about here right now. The free RTD is kicking in. Like, it's not free. There is no such thing as a free lunch.
You're right.
Somebody's paying.
And it's us.
And it's that great Lyndon Johnson. Did you ever read The Right Stuff, the book, The Right Stuff?
A long time ago.
Okay. So the Houston Space Center, and
yes,
I think it might even be called Johnson now, but it was Houston. And Lyndon Johnson goes before, and he was always capable of doing this. All of these people that were involved with NASA, and he raises his arms and he says, "Look what I have brung you." as though he personally had done it. And there was another story that went to Lyndon Johnson, and I think he's at Fort Benning, and the helicopters are all lined up, all the helos are lined up, and the rotors are turning, and this young CWO comes over and says, "Your helicopter's over here, Mr. Johnson, Mr. President." And Lyndon Johnson is reported to have said, "Son, they're all my helicopters."
Yeah.
Seriously. So
Yeah.
this new mayor, Johnston, is going to end homelessness. All you have to do is dream, which is almost like knocking off Martin Luther King.
Yeah, it's oh gosh, I don't know how Denver keeps voting for people like that.
That's the point. That's the point.
I mean, that's Hickenlooper all over again.
It's also Pena. It's also Ritter.
Yeah.
It's Tinkers to Evers to Chance.
Oh,
Do
gosh,
you
yeah.
really, in your heart of hearts, now he's on the clock. It's 365 days
Yep.
a year. Do you think he can end homelessness?
Of course not.
That's right. Of course not.
Just go to Pittsburgh way, just kick him out.
Well, I don't know.
By the way,
Yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you say.
Oh yeah, I wanted to. I'm glad. Is George around, or are you just?
No,
subbing for him?
he's in Texas, I think, and he'll be back tomorrow. Or
Okay,
somebody
yeah.
else. Somebody else is here. I don't know.
For the longest time, I wanted to tell
George
you
is
something.
back. George is back. Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to tell you something, but I keep missing you. You asked somebody once, you could tell their personality, whatever it was, about what comic books they read.
As a kid,
they liked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, me, it was the Phantom.
Oh man. Okay.
You know why? Because he was the most realistic. He had 245s. He had a dog.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a superhero.
Yeah.
And he had a lineage that they just. The father dies, the son takes over.
Sure.
That was my favorite comic book.
I was a Phantom fan, and for all the money and what's behind the curtain, and do you remember his dog's name? It was a white German Shepherd.
Wasn't it Wolf?
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah.
And I loved the Phantom. I thought the Phantom was great. And actually, they made a movie that wasn't all that bad.
Yes, I wish they had made more. Yes.
Yeah, but the Phantom, in this semi-retirement, I can just roll off and read pretty much what I want to do, and and it's been I've been drawn into so many good things, and one of them is to understand art. Through the eyes of the period. I don't know how old you are, but do you remember like the Furry Freak Brothers, and they were called Zap Comics, and it was they were dope comics.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember Zap?
I'm 76, so I remember that.
Remember Zap and the Furry Freak Brothers and Mr. Natural and Fritz the Cat, all that stuff.
Yeah, but you know something interesting about comic books is you can take comic books from different countries and you can tell their philosophy of the time.
Yes,
like the Batman, Robin during the '60s, he kind of turned student. Yeah, I noticed that.
And I'll tell you what's cool about the cable system that I have that I can't. And I watch it all the time. They have the serials from the 30s and the 40s. And I this is going to really make a giveaway for me. I just watched, it took me 3 nights, 12 episodes of Don Winslow of the Navy. And this is World War II stuff. And they're chasing this guy called the Scorpion. And the Scorpion he's a saboteur, and it's Don Winslow. And it's, they got the Shadow. You got just all this good stuff. And so I get trapped in it and I watch it and it's good. So it's a real giveaway. Hey, brother, It's good to hear it, Patrick. Good to hear your voice. Thank you. Let's go to Dwayne. Dwayne, you're on a radio show. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Always a pleasure to chat with you.
You too, sir. Thank you.
The one thing I think everybody's forgetting is that if you keep pushing a loyal person to the point where they will no longer care, the flip of that coin will be absolutely insidiously scary.
I agree.
And I think that's what I think that the citizenry of Denver, Aurora, and every other
they voted for this
county,
guy. But they voted for
I
this
understand.
guy. Oh, sure.
Well, I mean, if you sat there and said to them, if you go with this guy, we're going to spend a lot more money and more people are going to be homeless. Or if we went and voted for the other company, at least we'd have them actually get cared for. They'd vote for the guy that's going to keep giving them money.
Well, but caring for these people is the destruction of these people. That Cote knew work works and sobriety works. And
I met him.
And just like you took care of yourself. And listen, I'm in recovery from this insanity. I mean, I got a real inside baseball look at myself. But these guys, first of all, one of the questions that we talked about earlier this morning, do you really think that these people that you see living in tents, do you really think they want to come in and get sober and live in little micro stay-free mini pads? Do you think they want to do that?
Only if they're all cement walls with a stainless steel sink and toilet put together. Otherwise, they're going to peel it all out to get close.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Philly.
And move on. Oh,
in Philadelphia, Cote, they gave them these, they had microwave stoves and they yanked out and they were pulling the copper out of the selling the copper on the street, or selling the copper to the junkyards, selling the microwaves on the street. Hey, Mark Crowley and Stephen and I watched these guys. They had laid down blankets, and there was power tools laying on the blankets. They're selling them for drugs up in Vancouver, and the cops are standing there. They don't do anything. So I said, this one cop, I said, where do they get the power tools? He said, gives me the thumb. Oh, I steal them off the construction jobs over there. They couldn't do anything about it. Yeah.
The thing is, and I had to do this, is that a friend of mine who's had addiction issues and always used me as a landing pad and move on. I had to sit there and say, after she had cancer and nearly died and she continued the path, I said, no more, hon, you're done. And it hurt because it was 30 years of friendship.
Sure.
But I sat there and I didn't help out much. I just gave her security.
But it's called,
and even after that,
whether you know it or not, it is called tough love.
Yeah.
And Bob Cote, I mean, I've come back to the late, great Bob Cote. I would be with Bob, and families would come in about their sons, their adult sons and their uncles. And Bob would look at them with that stern voice of his, and he would say, do you want to help them? And they would say, well, yes, we do. And he'd say, then don't help them. Like, you want somebody to get sober. You tough love them into a corner. Nobody in the family has anything to do with them. And that was the funny part about the Obama phones and all that kind of stuff. It was just junk. It wasn't going to work. And, but it made them feel good.
It's like trying to capture water in a drain kind of thing.
No, you're right.
A colander. If you think you're going to fill that thing up, then you're more full of hot air than you know.
You take
the situation needs to be said of, no, I'm sorry, you're not here. And the fire trucks come by and flush the area and move them along because that's the only way it's going to change.
But it isn't so much that there's no place you can go. You can't go. And if you really thought about it, the heroin now in Vancouver, they're literally giving this stuff away. And if I were to open a big bar right across from Coors Field, and you can drink there for free until you really want to get sober. Get out of here. I mean, that's really what they're saying. I mean, there's not one mention of any of this stuff. They use all kinds of PC terms, but Denver has a new mayor as of this morning, Mike Johnston. His quote, "We can end homelessness in my first term." Hey, Mike, if Mike can jump through this, remember that? If you jump through this.
Oh, yes.
All right, you take care of yourself. Billy, where do we stand? Break time? All right. A bunch of email to read, a bunch more phone calls to take. But do you really believe this? And they had the prom, I guess, last night, and everybody showed up, and it's a jitterbug. 710 KNUS Jeff Decker is on the radio show on Saturday. I can't tell you, man, how much. Get ready for that. 710knus.com. Click on the on shows and click on me. And my column was up about how we're going to become San Francisco. And also, but better, much better, is the producers. All the radio guys are sitting there and laughing and scratching. All right. It's going to be 95 for a high today. It is 710 KNUS. Stay here.
Starting with its growing homeless population.
We will get you a home. We will get you help. We will.
It just doesn't matter. Good morning, everyone. First day out of the box. Don't let them move. Tuesday morning, the 18th of July, 2023. John Bandimere will be with us at the top of the hour. 95 will be the high today. 88 tomorrow. Got some rain coming in and a little bit of lightning. Billy, you have another cut you wanted to play. And first of all, explain what we were about. Billy Thorpe got the con. All right. What is it that we're gonna?
Yeah, this is Johnston, and he's talking. They always do. Very, very esoteric. They want you to, see like an impressionist painting. They're painting stuff on the wall, and they want you to interpret it your own way.
Yeah.
And here he's talking about we all need to just hope.
How we put our arms around those stuck in a cycle of hurt, and it is how we pull this city back into a cycle of hope.
Cycle of hope.
Now, how come nobody else did this before?
I know. It's surprising.
How come this didn't work for Hancock?
He just didn't hope enough.
How come it worked for the Master Blaster?
Yeah.
John Hickenlooper, who had a 10-year plan to end it.
Yeah, 10-year plan, and somehow, but Johnston's is better because his does it in 4.
Well, because he dreamed. He dreams.
Yeah, it's obviously he's supersized.
Dreaming.
Yes, he is dreaming.
Dude, you're dreaming. All right, let's go back to the calls. Steve, you're on a radio show. Thank you and good morning.
Good morning. Well,
Your phone. Whoa! Stop. Your phone's really garbled.
Can you hear me now better?
That's pretty garbled. You want to call back?
Let me get off my. How's that? Any better?
Much better. Go ahead.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. I own a business called The Chairman in Denver, and we've owned it started it in 1990, and we were on Broadway for about 20 years on South Broadway, and we had just a tremendous parade of homeless, drug users, pimps, prostitutes, they'd up and down the street, right in Antique Row. And after a while, one or two of them would wander into the store, and my wife and I really took a heart for some of them because they were kind people and they had a broken situation. And we thought naively that we could throw money at them, we could fix them, we could put them in a house and that would fix them. And on only very rare occasions, I can think of just 3 people that actually worked for. And they did achieve a life on their own, but they did it through going through Teen Challenge, getting off of drugs, deciding that they wanted to change their life, and making a decision, and with help and guidance, not a free handout, we were able to help them. But that was really through the grace of God that we got some direction on that, because it was not because we were smarter than they were. It's because they decided they didn't want to be broken in the street anymore.
It's all true. Well, all those 20 plus years with Bob Cote, I saw it again and again and again and again and again. And and I'm watching it with one of my dearest friends, her daughter's boyfriend's son. And we talked over the weekend, and he couldn't go to STEP because he was loaded. And I said, there's a place called Denver Cares. And you go to Denver Cares for a 72-hour detox. Oh, I'm going to go. And then in the end, he punked out and just stayed drunk. Didn't go to Denver Cares. And so I don't know what this Joker mayor's talking about. It's almost like a 60s conversation.
Do you know Jamie Van Leeuwen? He worked for Hickenlooper.
No.
He was part of that in Denver homeless, the road show. Remember the road show?
Oh, absolutely. I do remember that.
Pajamas.
Yes.
And we approached him. He and a guy that's gone now, Preston Davis, and I approached Hickenlooper and his team and gave them a plan. And the plan included capturing the old former Kmart buildings, turning them into a place that you could actually build furniture. And this is a guy that helped create Prison Industries and give these people a job where they built the furniture. They lived in sections. You couldn't house the world, but they had to work. The work piece, God in the Bible, it says that she'll live and eat by the sweat of the brow. Well, if they don't work, they've got no ability.
But there's no
to
intent.
see.
You have to understand, and
Right.
I know you do. They have no intention of working.
They don't want to work.
No,
they're
of course
free.
not. Well, that's the end. Well, and you know, I've been around this with Bob before Bob died, and now I still see the guys a lot. There's no intent. And if this idiot thinks, and I have dubbed them the stay free mini pads, that the city, he writes, I've been reading the guy for, I've been chomping to do this show. The city is going to build 20 micro communities. Now that's newspeak. That's really Orwellian, micro communities. And they will include a mix of tiny homes on city-owned land. That's parks. City-owned land that's a park.
Oh my God.
No, think this through. This is all newspeak. Converted hotels, providing 1,400 units where people can live. I'm reading it. Some residents might stay for the long term, while others would be transitioned into more permanent housing options, which with no caveat who's paying, opening up space for other people experiencing homelessness. Entire encampments may be moved into any building or community at any time, ensuring social structures of support remaining intact. You go in those camps, there's no social structure of support. Each micro community would offer wraparound services, addiction treatment, workforce training. Funding for wraparound services will come from the city's Homeless Resolution Fund. It's already there. It's in place.
I think he needs to grow a 10-day beard, not shower for 10 days, wear some really old clothes, and go down and try to integrate into one of those and see if he can't get a real reality check. And he'll find out. There was one guy, and I'll lead my story with this. He was the nicest guy. His name was Charlie. He was an American Indian, and we got him a little place on the corner of Broadway and Colorado Avenue. This was 180 square feet. It was literally a shoebox. And my wife took him, got him food and clothing. He'd never been shopping, never owned a mattress in his life. And we got him set up, and he was doing so good. And one day he showed up, and he had all his clothes folded that we gave him, and he gave them back to me. He said, "Steve," he said, "I'm lonely." He says, "I like living under the bridge. I like taking a river shower once a month." He says, "I miss my friends. And as much as I love what you've done for me, this isn't my home. My home is in the streets." And I had to accept that that's who he was. And I said, "Good luck." And he walked out the door, and they found him under the bridge up at, what's that that three-par golf course up there on
I know where you mean.
Evans, not Evans, they found him under there. He had died under that bridge, that culvert. And it was sad, but that's reality. And this 1,400 deal, good luck on that. Thanks for bringing your show to the world.
We'll see what happens. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Billy, we got time for one more. Let's break. Billy says, let's break. The one, the only, John Bandimere coming up. And the good news of the morning is that they're going to talk about building another track. But what a remarkable man, what a remarkable family. I had the experience of a lifetime where John Bandimere took me down on the line and it was top fuel cars, rails. And we stood there, I don't know, 10 yards, 12 yards, 15 yards from the start. And I got to watch like 4 of them go. And the NRA, but John can explain it, the NRA literally takes over the track. But each of these, I guess you can call them a car, each of they develop about 13,000 horsepower. And how much John will explain all of it, but it was absolutely an incredible experience. Jeff Decker's on the radio show on Saturday. He'll be with us at 10. We start at 9. 710 KNUS. Click on shows and click on me. And the shoot from we did last week with the producers, there's a Bandimere shoot that's real good. It's right in that lineup. And a column I wrote about how we're going to be San Francisco. The Denver mayor, how can we? He said we can end homelessness in my first term. And if the moon was a balloon, 710 KNUS.
Imagine the lifelong impact of a journey to the Holy Land, surrounded by like-minded travelers. Picture yourself stepping foot in iconic locations right out of history. With nationally syndicated radio hosts Dennis Prager and Mike Gallagher, you'll gain firsthand understanding of the spiritual and political importance of this vital region.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher here. I hope you'll join Dennis Prager and me on an amazing journey through Israel in October 2023.
Discover Israel's vibrant culture and why this nation is such a strategic partner for the United States. Join Dennis Prager and Mike Gallagher on this life-enriching Israel tour, October 25th through November 3rd, 2023. For more information, call 855-565-5519 or visit standwithisraeltour.com.
We will get you a home. We will get you help. We will get you healed.
That's like Karl Marx, man. It's like, we now have a new mayor. Now, I'm the guy that thought there could never be a worse mayor than Michael Hancock. That just wasn't conceivable. And I used to think that about like Richard Nixon. I said, there can't be a worse president in my future than Richard Nixon. God, was I wrong. Denver's mayor now, Mike Johnston. We can end homelessness. That's what he's going to do. And I read the guy for a couple of days knowing I was going to come in and do the gig. But one of the really cool ones was The Sun. The newspaper The Sun did an interview before he becomes mayor. He's mayor-elect. And they're talking to him about his first 100 days. And he said, I can't give away all the secrets. Remember, Richard Nixon had a secret plan. He goes on to say, but certainly we'll be focused on that for the inaugural. We're focusing on a 100-day plan. That's the Maoist, the Great Leap Forward and Glorious People End Homelessness. The 1-year plan, they're different plans. They had a 7-year plan. Planned economies don't work. The plans like this don't work. And we have the term 1 plan. But this is a man who promises transparency, and he had a 500 plus transition committee, and all of the members signed non-disclosure agreements. It just ain't going to get any better. We go to Bert. Bert, you're on the radio show, man. Good morning. It's a Tuesday.
Good morning.
Hey.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Pleasure.
Hey, I have an idea how to reduce the homeless and help fund Mike Johnston's tiny home communities. If you've ever been to the national parks, it says don't feed the bears as they become dependent upon us.
Mm-hmm.
So we reprogram the traffic cameras to write a $100 fine for anybody that gives the panhandlers money. That money would go to funding these tiny homes, and it would reduce the number of panhandlers because they're not making that side money.
With respect, that's part of what's called tough love. Nobody helps.
Right.
Nobody helps anybody on any level, including, it's ridiculous to find when 1,000 years ago, me and a couple guys from Channel 7 went homeless, and it was cold, and we slept in a big cardboard box downtown. And I was, a lot younger and probably a lot dumber. But one of the things that happened is, and we were living on the Platte, and across from where Coors Field is now, and it was back then, and Cote was alive, and everything was doing well there at Step. But these church people, God bless them, as my grandma would say, they would not come down on the river itself because it was spooky. But they would leave food they would have good food, and they'd put it and they'd wrap it in foil, and they'd have it on paper plates, and they'd leave it at the top. If you climbed up the riverbank, and those people threw their food away and ate what they wanted to eat, and it's just this is a con. It's a con. And so there's more of it to come. Watch.
Well, I agree. We just need to end the enabling, and if we the people to stop enabling, maybe it'll take care of itself.
Well, it must, because if I don't feed you, I don't clothe you, I don't give you a place to stay, you have to get a job, things will change. But
Exactly.
as long as I build you a stay-free mini pad and listen to this joker already out of the box, Tom, how I'm going to take care of you, and we're all going to dream together, that's hogwash. And it's also, and Cote knew, it's also a clarion call for more people to come here.
Yep.
It's just like, hey, you see what this joker's going to do in Denver? You think just Johnston guy? We can go there and live, bro. Come on. We can
Only one thing makes matters worse. You get free marijuana.
get some weed. do some shrooms. You're a funny man. Yeah.
Yep. Good day. Thanks.
You too. Take care. We go to Joe. Joe, you're on a radio show. It is 7:54. Billy, we coming up on time. All right, Joe, we'll take your call. Good morning.
Good morning, Pete. Pete, it's much worse. It's not San Francisco. It's much more closer to Portland. What
San
this will
Francisco's
do.
rough. Yeah.
Well, the headquarters for the new Denver autonomous bird feeder zone will be the homeless area. And the king of the area or the leader of the area will probably be Tay. He will go ahead and try to take over the autonomous zone of Denver.
Wow, this is crazy. Look, Tay.
It sounds crazy, but it will happen. Ted Wheeler is this guy. That's who he is. He's.
I wrote that down. Ted Wheeler. Watch him. Him and Tay are going to take over and run it.
Well, no, Ted Wheeler was the mayor of Portland, and he was the one that allowed the autonomous zone to happen in Portland. They let the drug infested zone take over the downtown area, and Ted Wheeler was just an innocent bystander allowing the communists to do it.
Well,
and that's what's going to happen in Denver. The Denver dumpster fire is nowhere near being solved. It has to go to the bottom.
No, I mean
and the bottom is what Portland has become.
Well, then this new mayor will make things. They will not get better. In other words, do you think Denver? I'm hearing the music. Do you think Denver's going to get better or get worse under this mayor?
Oh, it's going to be much worse
because
he's just going to be a tool of the left.
Joe, I got to move. We're coming back with the one and only John Bandimere. Morning, everybody. Stay here, 710 KNUS. And good morning, everybody, on a Tuesday. Boyles in for George back tomorrow. It's the 18th of July, 2023. Good old 710 KNUS. And you heard the weather. It's going to be 95 high today, tomorrow 88, and got some rain, and Thursday much the same. 710 KNUS. And because of the shoot that we did with Mr. Bandimere, the new shoot is up, but boy, the one we did with John is people still watching. Go to 710knus.com, click on shows, click on me, and you'll come down and you'll see the one with producers. But you go to watch that on YouTube, and you'll see, I think, one of the greatest and most amazing shows that we sat and did with this man. And it was prior to the Nationals coming to town. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how to describe him. John Bandimere is with us. And what you did, John took me out on what's called that's the starting line for fuel cars, and he came walking into the room with these great big giant Mickey Mouse ears, and he said, "Here," and I got to watch these top fuel cars go. Mr. Bandimere, good morning. Thank you. And welcome.
Good morning.
Home. Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah. How's it feel? How's it feel? Oh God.
Well, you tell me how's it feel.
I'm not over it. I mean, I everybody, all the bikers and everybody, and my family, and I said, I've never, the nitro smell alone,
right,
it burns your eyes.
Oh, I know. Yes, it does. Yeah.
And when they go off the line, those great big rear tires get narrow.
Yep. They do.
Yeah. And what you should say, each of those cars runs 13,000 horsepower.
They run about 11 to 13,000 horsepower, and the thing that's interesting is that they actually go through anywhere from 13 to 15 gallons of fuel in one run. Just the burnout, the backup, the make the run. It's just kind of hard to believe that it uses that much fuel, but the thing that you really don't quite understand when you're not where you're close to them, you don't really quite understand the way that it actually rattles your body. You can be in the 35th row on the west side of the grandstands at our place, and that's why people, I think, really enjoy the facility that we have, is that they feel like they're a part of what's going on. And then there's people who buy a seat and they don't ever sit in it. They want to be down there close by the rail or by the fence, and it's crazy.
I said, is it like watching a 747 go, or, somebody launching an airplane off an aircraft carrier?
Right,
I mean, any of those things, but when they bring out those cars, and John did this for me, and as the National Hot Rod Association runs Mr. Bandimere's track just for those couple of days, but I mean, everybody just says opens gates for John, but all of a sudden you're standing there and they push these cars out. You're laughing, and they put, and I've watched them run for, I don't know, the 30 years I've known John, but I've never been like that close. And
right.
And and I got to meet. Glad. Oh, I got to meet Carrillo, and I went and talked to Carrillo, and we talked to John Force, and his daughter set a track, or I saw that she went 338 miles per hour.
Yes.
And how much time? How much space, or the length to go that fast?
1,000 feet from a standing start to 1,000 feet. That car was actually running 290 miles an hour at the 8th mile at 660 feet. They don't pick up a lot more mile an hour after that point, but it's actually pretty amazing the way that the cars can just kind of hook up, and I mean, that's the whole point, is to make sure they hook up and get from point A to point B. If they don't, then they blow the tires off or whatever, and then of course once they smoke the tires, they've lost the round. But I thought it was interesting. I I observed you and Roger as you were there, and what was interesting, Peter, I don't think you even, I wish we'd had a video, because when they took off, you took and you hit him in the arm and you looked at him like, did you just understand what just happened?
Did you just see this? And when Senior opened Thunder Mountain in 1958, what was a fast time for a quarter mile back then?
Probably about 7 seconds. Yeah, somewhere. The first one to go 6 seconds here at the racetrack was Kenny Bernstein.
Wow.
And that's been and his son was standing right there with us on the starting line.
Yeah.
Brandon.
I saw.
But it's changed a lot. You see, when Connie Coletta's son Scott passed away because of a horrendous accident where the vehicle hit a pole at the end of a racetrack in Englishtown. The NHRA decided that they were going to change it from 1,320 feet to 1,000 feet. Now, the reason they did that is because the cars were going close to 300 miles an hour, and they were kind of concerned that if they brought it back to 1,000 feet, maybe they would just run 200 and 290 or something like that. And here's what's crazy is now they're running faster in 1,000 feet than they did in. If they went 1320, I'm afraid they would go 350. So it's good that they did shut it or close it down to a shorter deal. But anyway, it's quite the experience, and
the one, the only John Bandimere's here, and of course his dad opened the mountain in '58, and I've sat with these guys and listened to them, listened to John tell stories, and he's always. The thing that makes you, I mean, not only this incredible host and business guy, you're a great storyteller. You are. I mean, when John was start to talk about, after '58 and the quarter mile drag strip that now is on, 470 wasn't there, was it, John?
No, it was not. Rooney Road was gravel. It was a gravel road.
And of course the family and the competition and. The first time they came were 77. You told me that. I didn't know this till you told me this on Saturday. The pros don't pay any entry fees.
No, they do not. They are our guests, and it should be that way, because the point is without the professional racers, of course, you do not have a professional show. Now there's a lot of opinions on that, Peter. My personal opinion is that there should be a contract with every professional racer that races at our facility, but they don't have any contracts. It's a matter of you. If you come, you come, and if you don't, you don't. But in most of the cases, if you have Napa, let's say, as a sponsor, Napa expects you to be there, and they don't expect you to be there. They expect you to run every run that you can possibly run, because that gives them exposure.
Well, sponsors are tough.
Boy.
And I mean, bull riders, my other great love, you either show up or you don't,
That's right. No,
you either show or you don't show.
That's right. Yeah. Well, and of course, they get injured and they can't be there for periods of time. So,
So when those guys come, and because in pro rodeo, you have to win X amount of dollars as an amateur, and then you get your card, they call it. How does one become a professional? Like you, I mean, you saw the pros come. You can tell that, so they're the pros. But how do they? John Bandimere's here. How do they become pros?
Well, they, yesterday, I'll just back up. Yesterday, Frank Hawley showed up at the racetrack. Frank Hawley was world champion for several years, and the crew chief that worked on his car, Austin Coyle, ended up being the crew chief for John Force for several years when he was a champion. But what they do is Frank has a driving school, and he's coming to the track next week. His class is full, but he takes newbies and people who want to learn how to drive, and he puts them in a funny car or a dragster or a door car, and they have to make a certain amount of runs down the racetrack, and they have to do it in a sequence until they feel comfortable, and then he turns them loose and lets them just run for the full amount of space. A perfect example of that's just happened is Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart has this race team, and he's of course he's a NASCAR and a drives sprint cars, etc. But he never driven a drag car, and so they made him go through a school to learn how to actually operate the car, and now he actually this next week is going to be doing a funny car because his wife Leah drives a dragster, and I think that eventually he'll probably be the one that drives the funny car.
I saw he was on TV when he came into town, and I knew that his wife was a racer. And,
yes.
I mean, those guys, and you and I talked about this. I was in Sturgis, and I was doing media work in Sturgis, which I quit doing because you're not having a good time now. You're working,
right?
And it'd be like working media for Bandimere. It's like okay, but I got invited to this party. And it was these, I don't think I've ever told the story on the air, but it was some of these, the NASCAR guys. And it was 3 a.m. and it was the Hawaii Tropics girls. And,
right.
It just was what it was. And I won't say the racer because that's not fair, but we were talking, and I had bonded with this guy, and we were talking, and I knew enough. And he said, here's what they don't get. He said, we would do it for free.
Well,
but
so would the drag racers, Peter.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're aware or not, but Leah Pruitt, who is Tony's wife, Tony Stewart's wife, she came to our facility when she was just an 8-year-old girl, and she ran in a junior dragster, came out of California. She ran when she was 8, 9, 10, 11 years old here at the facility. And, but you asked the question, how do they get licensed? And the way they get licensed is they have to drive a certain type of a vehicle, and they have to make a certain amount of runs, and they have to be able to be signed off by other racers or drivers.
Trust them.
And also that say, hey, I'll race next to that person because that person is in control of the car. They know what's going on, and and of course it's a very interesting thing. I'll give you an example. If you go to the amusement park for the very first time in the year and you ride a roller coaster and you come down that hill, it takes your breath away and kind of gives you that stomach feeling. That's exactly what happens in those cars. But after you've driven them time and time and time again, then everything slows down. Yeah. It's kind of like you riding your bike. When you first take off on your motorcycle, it's like everything is really fast.
Yeah.
The problem with the bike riders is that they get so used to it that they become lackadaisical. And that's when they have a problem with an accident or whatever. Yeah. And that's really kind of the way drag racing is also.
It has to be. I mean, I met Carrillo, and he was getting ready to race, and so I couldn't, but he did the radio show with us on Saturday morning, and he'll do it. I didn't know he was a Denver kid, and he put your name on, he had your name on the side of his car, and it was really emotional to see that final, that these, and it gets back to that moment, and we're in a place that burned down actually in Sturgis, and it's dark 30, and I don't drink anymore, but, and he was talking, he said, and I wanted to say and maybe I'll be able to say to Carrillo, or maybe to say it someday to John Force, but you already answered it. And you talk to these guys, and they're at 200 miles an hour on the wall at Talladega, swapping paint, bang, banging in each other. It must be just amazing. And I guess, he said, what they don't know, he said, is they pay us a lot of money. He said, but what they don't know is we would do it for free.
That's right. No,
Wow.
it is true. I mean,
Yeah.
it's such a thrill, and it's so fun.
Oh, must be.
Yeah, and of course, you know, you're saying the sponsors are tough. They need to be tough because if it wasn't for the sponsors, they wouldn't be running the cars anyway.
It's like radio. You don't deliver the ratings. You don't get. I mean, that's why ratings are revenue.
Amen.
They really are.
Yeah. That's
So,
right.
all right, now John's here, and he'll. I mean, I'll never be able to thank him. Now, the good news is the rumor Bandimere is going to go east. All right, John.
Well, you know, I'm going to tell you, yeah, you're a very good friend, and we're doing exactly, Peter, what God wants us to do, and we're hoping and praying that He opens the door to a facility or a piece of property a couple of them that we've been looking at. We'll see what happens. But I've been very careful as to exactly where it's at. I actually told the press that it's up by DIA. And I'll just leave it that way.
Good enough.
And but the real issue is we would appreciate the prayers and the support of all of you out there as far as with the property we have right now. I just wish I could. I keep thinking there Sunday when we're running the race, if I could just cut this whole thing out and put it on top of 400 acres, there'd be no need to do anything. But there's no place to go to the mountain. There's no place to go to the outside now because of homes and what's going on. And of course, I never could have afforded to buy a lot of the property that the houses and some of that stuff is going on. And so that it just, boy, I tell you, and I want to thank those people who came and waited in line to park and waited in line to get out. And I mean, you have no idea how I stand up there and I watch. It makes me cry when I think about it, that people have to sit in their car and wait because it's not fun. I don't like that myself, but they came and they supported us, and we just are so blessed and thankful.
John raced on Saturday, so he's got this Dodge. And so I'm watching you in the line. There was like 4 of those guys, and down the stairs to watch you race comes your wife. And that was like, that was so cool. And she's leaning in the window. And I said, how many times do you think this woman leaned in the window to this guy when probably 20 different automobiles lined up to go as fast as he could? And she is such a gift. And it was like, it was time machine stuff. And it was like, anyhow, but
Peter, on Friday, that sweetheart of mine has been my bride for 62 years. We've always celebrated our anniversary on this race.
She came down the stairs out of the tower, and you're getting ready to race, and I'm standing there and I'm going, and because I always say Mrs. Bandimere, I don't dare, but no, please. And it was, anyhow, I wanted to get you on, and
thank you.
And
thank you.
I know actually Bandimere doesn't really close until the fall.
No, our final event of the year in drag racing is in October, but we will finish the year out with the Christmas lights.
Yeah. And
that happens in December. It's been very very good, Christmas. And people have enjoyed that.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, that's my grandson sits on my lap and drives the truck through the Christmas lights at Bandimere. It's
there you go.
Anyhow, Bandimere Speedway, his final national competition was this weekend. It was breathtaking. It was amazing. You saw the other cool thing, and I was telling the kids about it at dinner, is you never sold out the one side on a Saturday, and that was sold out. So,
Peter, we never sold out any time in the history of the track. But all 3 days, all Friday, Saturday, and Sunday ended up being complete sellouts.
People wanted
on both east and west side, both sides.
You guys, 2 different things. One, go to 710 KNUS and click on shows, and you come down to me, and it says The Shoot. The one before the producers, you can just click on, you can see it on YouTube. It's John Bandimere. And bunches of people watched it and so much good feedback. So I see your daughter. I'm getting ready. And I talked to Tammy, and who I've known since she was, I don't know, however she was. And I said, hey, and she said, that show with my dad. And she led with it. And I went like, I said, well, I said, it was whatever it was for your dad, it was more for me. She said, my dad loved doing that show. So that's posterity. Yes. That show was for you. Yeah. So I love you, my friend. We'll talk. I love you too. Be safe. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. You too. John Bandimere. All right, we go back to open lines, 303-696-1971. It's 26 after the hour of 8. I'm Peter Boyles in for, I was almost say the vacationing. He's on the road. He's in Texas, That's where he is. Billy's giving a speech. If you like just what we did, Saturday I get to do a radio show here, and I say I get to do one. And I do 9 to noon on Saturday. At 10 o'clock, our guest will be Jeff Decker, and I mean, these guys just show up. And I've talked to Decker's dad and Steve McQueen, and he grew up in this amazing world of Von Dutch, and anybody that's like hip to bikes and cars and the name Von Dutch. And you see like especially, young girls wearing shirts and shorts and stuff to say Von Dutch on them. And so I'm talking to somebody and they called him Dutch. It wasn't his real name. And Decker's got Von Dutch stories. And I said, what would he do? Because he had 3 daughters, I think, and they bought the name away from the family. And I think the girls are living in a trailer somewhere. And it's a horrible story of people getting blinked. But he knew Ed Roth Sr., Big Daddy Ed Roth. They knew, obviously they knew McQueen and Allie McGraw and all kinds of in-laws and outlaws and bike racers and crazy people. And in the middle of this is this kid, Jeff Decker. And he goes on, he's got a forge. Now, if you ever see the picture outside of the Harley-Davidson Museum of the Hill Climber, there's a guy in an old strap tank, and he's got one hand on the throttle and his legs coming off. And David Yule painted that. And Jeff Decker, that's his work. That's the work of Jeff Decker. And if you walk the streets, main streets of Sturgis, and you see these amazing sculptures, it's Jeff Decker's work. And Decker is one of my favorite people in the whole world. And we get to talk, and I said, Jeff, you got to do the show. And I was going to try him out today. And I said, I'd rather have you do Saturday and spend more time. And so Jeff's on the show at 10, but we start at 9. All right. So 303-696-1971. Back after this. Morning, everybody. For the open line segment return, 710 KNUS, Denver's talk station. I'm Peter Boyles, filling in for George Brauchler. He'll be back tomorrow. It's Tuesday, the 18th of July, 2023. I'm texting with Stefan. Stefan Tubbs is going to the press, conference this morning from the new mayor on homelessness. It'll be the same old tune, fiddle and guitar, but Stefan will be red hot this afternoon. 95 is going to be the high today. 88 Wednesday, 83 Thursday, Friday, 84 degrees. And of course, Saturday we do the radio show 9 to noon. So what do you think? 303-696-1971. And somebody again asking me about the shoot. Go to 710knus.com, and that's the website for the radio station. And you click on shows, and a roll down will say Peter Boyles. Click on that. And the shoot that's up now, the current shoot, is with the producers, with Leroy and Billy and Casey, and it's really well done. But you can get, if you go to YouTube, it's right underneath it, or you can get it right underneath it on the website, 710 KNUS. It's John Bandimere. And this is very special. So we're talking about the new mayor and how he's going to end homelessness. Phones are already lighting up. Let's go to Brian. Hey, Brian, you're on a radio show, man. Good morning.
Hey, Peter. It's been a while. Hey, I was curious, of all this money going to the homeless problem, how much goes to the administrative state? Maybe it doesn't pay for them to actually solve the problem.
Well, remember,
right?
those are the poverty pimps. That term, that term came out of, I think it came out of Lyndon Johnson when he started the Great Society, that they found these people. These people don't want to end homelessness. The people who are getting salaried, you got a voice in the background there, but the people who were salaried, they don't want, why? It's like painting the Golden Gate Bridge, man. If you get on that gig, as soon as you get to the one end, you go to the other end and start again.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Has anybody done the numbers out there?
Oh, sure.
And figured out just how much is going to the homeless? I'm guessing the majority of the money goes to the administrative state.
Well, you remember that was the rap on the United Way, and that's why there is no more United Way. The guy's riding in limos and going to steak dinners, and he's doing it on your nickel. You're giving the money thinking it's going to go to a good cause, and it's going out the window. So I don't have an answer for, has anyone ever looked at it, but predicated on in the past, it's like I remember reading someplace that the Salvation Army put the most money to work. In other words, if you gave money, and I don't know this to be true, but I read it, if you gave $1 to the Salvation Army, like 80 cents of it actually went to work. And if you gave $1 to United Way, like 20 cents of it actually went to work. So
So that makes kind of a big difference. So I'm just curious if anybody's ever run those numbers, because like you said, without solving the addiction problem, my brother was addicted, and the streets ended up taking him, but when he needed a night off, he would just end up in the hospital.
Your phone. I hate to do this to you, Brian. Your phone's really cracking. It's really breaking. I'm going to jump.
All right, Peter.
Be safe. All right, we go to David. Hey, David, you're on a radio show, man. Good morning at 710 KNUS. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for taking my call. I got a question. As I understand, those self-injection sites are supposed to be close to the state capitol.
The one that was across the street, the one that will open if they do. There was a French restaurant. It was on right up the street from Channel 4. I'm trying to think of the name of it. It was there forever, and it's on Lincoln Street by Chanel number 4. It was French. It was La something. Well, the same people that owned that thing that was on the angle from the Capitol, they own that now, and that's the Denver Safe Injection guys. If that's the first green light, that's where my understanding My belief is that's where the first one will be.
That's the state legislators will be first in line before they go into the Capitol building.
That's where they used to be, given that was needle exchange, and then that's where we when we figured that out, and that's where all the little kids come down on the school buses to watch legislation, and there's a bunch of junkies, but. I think it's, come on, Billy, what's the name of that? Was the French place? La Centrale. Billy's right there. La Centrale, the Central.
I remember that one.
That's where I believe that'll be the first one. But I can give you a guarantee. There won't be one in Cherry Creek. There won't be one near Denver Country Club. There won't. I mean, just go down the list of where they won't be. They might put one in your backyard, but I can tell you the places where where the junkies won't be. And don't kid you, they're junkies. And
I get. I remember, Peter. I remember seeing this movie quite a while back, where this guy had a luxury convertible and parked it in at a city park. And left the top down, and somebody came by with a bag of popcorn and poured some popcorn on the front seat and the back seat. And you know what? It invited hundreds of pigeons.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that's what we're doing here in this city and county of Denver, feed those pigeons.
Well, Cote used to say that, like he was talking about feeding bears, and he just talked about, I mean, he's gone now, but certainly by me not forgotten, and I'm sure others as well. He predicted everything that we're watching. He said, here's what's going to happen. And it's all happened. And
I remember all that. I remember all that.
And
I'm 85 years old, and I've seen so much changes here,
It's craziness.
Peter, that it's unbelievable to me what's happening out here. I just look at him. And I said, El Chapo got some drugs into the White House. And I said, not only was there cocaine, but there was also marijuana found in the White House. I said, what is going on there?
But Willie Nelson talked about smoking pot when Carter was president. And there was like Charlie Daniels and Jimmy Carter. And I think one of the Carter, Chip Carter, I think it was, they're on the roof of the White House smoking dope. I mean, there's nothing that, ask yourself this question. When's the last time you were really shocked? Really shocked. It's been a long, you're not shocked by any of this.
No, it's become a normal thing. I remember, what was that, Billy Carter? Remember?
We met Billy Carter. Me and Bob, he was... Billy was alcoholic, or was alcoholic, and I met.
Yeah, I think didn't Jimmy pardon him when he was?
Well, no, I didn't pardon him. I met Jimmy Carter, and Billy was dead, and that's when it's a highlight when I sat and the radio show was over, and we talked about alcoholism, and Jimmy Carter, President Carter, did not understand his brother, but every president seems to have like a. Lyndon Johnson's brother, Nixon's brothers. Eisenhower had some amazing brothers, but every one of these presidents seems to have like a weird or an extended brother that is working them. And Billy was angry. So a lot of alcoholics are angry, but Billy was angry at his brother Jimmy. But in the end, right? Thank you, man. 303-696-1971. My favorite cut of the morning is, this is your new mayor telling you how he's going to give people homes. And, remember Karl Marx? It's like under Marxism, you have a house. You'll be you have little, you'll be taken care of medically, and you'll be given food. And all you have to do is go and work your job. And this is now your mayor. Mike Johnston is now your mayor. Transparent Mike. Dig this.
We will get you a home. We will get you help. We will get you healed.
Yeah, I want that. Legitimately. Come on. Where's mine? And this guy is saying this. There is no way that's going to happen. I read him. I got, because I knew I was going to do the show. Kelly Michaels was kind enough to give me the show back for a day. And I've been reading this guy. and I've been laughing louder. Billy, do we have the dreams when Mike has a dream? You don't think he's knocking off Dr. King, do you? Mike, here's the headline. We can end homelessness in my first term. And I just read this to you, and it's like, I call them the Stay Free mini pads. Here's how Johnston said he'll end homelessness in 4 years. The city will build 20, and then this is newspeak. If you ever read Orwell, and political correctness is newspeak. But Orwell calls it micro communities, calls it news. Well, let's play the cut. Here, one more time, we amateurs.
But for us to succeed, every Denverite must take their own oath. An oath to dream, to serve, and to deliver. The essence of democracy is that it calls on our ability to do something that feels unnatural, to love those who are different than us.
What's always cracked up to me is this is a republic. It's not a democracy. Here's how Johnston, this is my source now, is the Denverite. Over 4 years, the city will build 20 micro communities. This will include a mix of tiny homes on land owned by the city. Those are called parks. Okay. Now, this is like the doublespeak. This is like newspeak. This is Orwellian. This will include a mix of tiny homes on city-owned land. Stop. For $1,000, what's behind the curtain in a new car, and the curtain that Billy's pointing to, what do you think city-owned land is? Da, 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 da. They're going to get the Stay Free mini pads and the mix of tiny homes on city-owned land. Dude, that's parks. Converted hotels, providing 1,400 units where people can live. Nobody will get high and stabbed there, will they? No. Some residents might stay for the long term. What's the long term? While others would be transitioned into more permanent housing, like next door to you. like these people moved in. Well, what was the family in A Christmas Story? And I should know this. The family that lived next door to Ralph's dad, and Ralph's dad hated them. They had the hound dogs, and they always made his father crazy. And the dogs came over and ate the food, and they were a bunch of hillbillies that moved in, because he's writing about Gary, Indiana. In this long and storied career, I had a chance to spend time with him, but they were in Gary during the Depression. What was that family? But they're the same family. Actually, they're far worse. So some residents might stay for the long term, while others would be transitioned into more permanent housing options. The somethings. God, he talks about them all the time. Opening up space for other people experiencing homelessness. Housing would be funded. Entire encampments. I love this too. Entire encampments would be moved into any building or community at a time, ensuring social structures of support remain intact. These guys, they don't know who this guy is living with them. But they're going to maintain that. Each micro community Stay Free mini pad would offer wraparound services from mental health, addiction treatment to workforce training. All that's available. It's already available. Who are they, Billy? We haven't, come on. It's a family. And they move in next to Ralphie and the old man, and they got the dogs. Anyhow, he goes on to talk about the funding for the Homeless Resolution Fund. And the Bumpuses. Remember the Bumpuses? and the old man, they fought the Bumpuses in the books. The movie was Christmas Story is special. But if you read the books, when he's growing up, and it's the Bumpuses, the Bumpuses get in fights. It's the Bumpuses. So his administration will recruit, and he pledges that he will own the problem. And so what's different from Michael Hancock and John Hickenlooper and the rest of these jokers? This guy said he can do it in a quicker amount of time. It's not going to happen. Now, my son and I were talking last night. We're going to go see Oppenheimer. And we were talking about the life of Oppenheimer. And I'm kind of a geek about it. But they had the doomsday clock after the hydrogen bomb was tested at a place called Bikini. And they were concerned. I think they were called concerned scientists. At least that's what I was telling my son. And they invented something called the doomsday clock. And it was like 3 minutes to midnight or something. And I was just a young guy, and I was, whoa, now wait a minute. And because the bomb was out there now, and it's, if we grew up in it, and many of you grew up in it as well, there was the duck and cover era and everything that went with that. But my uncle, legendary Uncle Gene, he'd be sitting there all drinking beer on a Saturday or Sunday. And he'd say things like, he'd look at me and he'd say, because we lived near some steel mills and coal mines. And he said, those are all targets. What? I'm like a kid. I'm like my grandson's age, I think. He said, that steel mills, and they're all in a river. They're all gone. But there was a coal mine pretty close to our house, Newfield Mine. And they said, there were targets. They never said Soviets. It was always the Russians or the Reds. We're going to bomb those coal mines, and they were going to bomb those steel mills. I'm thinking, and now I think about it. If you're cutting loose, if it's showtime, it ain't going to make a nickel's worth of difference if you blow up a coal mine or not. But at the time, it made sense. But they had the doomsday clock, and I remember the first time I saw that. So this guy, this is his first day. And he's going to end all of this. So we're going to start our very own doomsday clock. And there's 365 days. I will double dog guarantee you, stealing from Ralphie, that things will get worse. Do you believe, as we head into the final hour of the gig, and you can turn them up next hour, do you really think that this new mayor will or can end homelessness? Think about all these people that are out there. They don't want it. So try you again. 303-696-1971. We'll begin taking calls. What do you think? Will this guy make it worse? The new mayor, will and can he end homelessness? This is all the same hackneyed stuff that we've seen before. It's going to be 95 for a high, 88 tomorrow, 83 Thursday. Don't forget, Jeff Decker will be a part of the radio show on Saturday and on our website, 710knus.com. Click on shows and click on me. And the fellows all came in and we did a shoot on radio producing. I had my head down on a couple of them are so funny. And then the one that you can see is John Bandimere. You can see John when John and I sat and talked. But we now have a new mayor, Mike Johnston, and we can end homelessness in his first term. And as someone said to me, he pledged transparency.
I'm going to have to just hum in the background, Peter, because for whatever reason, The music.
We got no music. It's me. I'm a curse. All right, forget it.
Yeah, it's
it's
we
me.
got a few seconds here.
So I come show up, Brauchler's whole machine breaks down. All right, just want to say back after this, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, back after this, 710 KNUS.
Imagine the lifelong impact of a journey to the Holy Land, surrounded by like-minded travelers. Picture yourself stepping foot in iconic locations right out of history. With nationally syndicated radio hosts Dennis Prager and Mike Gallagher, you'll gain firsthand understanding of the spiritual and political importance of this vital region.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher here. I hope you'll join Dennis Prager and me on an amazing journey through Israel in October 2023.
Discover Israel's vibrant culture and why this nation is such a strategic partner for the United States. Join Dennis Prager and Mike Gallagher on this life-enriching Israel tour, October 25th through November 3rd, 2023. For more information, call 855-565-5519 or visit standwithisraeltour.com.
Thanks to thousands of text messengers on the Bumpuses. That's right. They live next door to Ralphie and the old man and all of those stories. And I couldn't think of the last name. I went blank on it. It was the Bumpuses that had the dogs and everything that went with it. And if you read the books, you know that, I mean, although they're important in A Christmas Story, but I mean, it gets far more intense than just that, because some of the things that he writes are far more adult than, and I'm trying to remember where. First, let me reset. Hi, I'm Peter Boyles. Good morning, everyone. Tuesday morning, July the 18th, 2023. Good old 710 KNUS, filling in for the one and only George Brauchler. He'll be back here tomorrow morning. 95 the high today, 88 Wednesday, Thursday, 83. I'm back here on Saturday morning, 9 to noon. Our special guest will be the one and the only Jeff Decker. Google Jeff Decker to get full value. Also on the website, 710knus.com. Click on shows and get to me. And the new video is up, the shoot that we did with the producers, with Billy and Leroy, and Casey came in. And then if you continue scrolling down, you'll see the one with the one and only, who was just with us on the show, John Bandimere. Okay, all's well in the world. So I couldn't come up with the last name of the family that moved in next to Ralphie and the old man. And they were the Bumpuses. So I can't tell you how many people sent us the Bumpuses. Thank you so much. 303-696-1971. There's a new mayor in town, new sheriff in town, right? And you can already tell, if you can't tell by the cuts, and we will play them again, guy's a gas bag. I mean, you can tell him this is another one of the progressive, liberal gas bags that have done nothing but ruin cities across this country. And by the way, while you're on the website, you can read my column that's in the Chronicle, just exactly about that. You know, like we are San Francisco, but not until next year. And so when you listen to this stuff, and Stefan, I've been texting with Stefan, he's on his way to the press conference, and so he will be excellent this afternoon. But Mike Johnston was sworn in as Denver's mayor. And these things that this guy's saying are straight out of the 60s and is straight out of the politically correct, far left, semi-socialist answers. And as you know, if you have ever read Karl Marx or read any of the Marxist thinkers, they take care of you. The state, the job of the state is to take care of you. And you give to the state, and the state will take care of you. If you read Marx, and in spite of what people might say on radio shows or wherever else they appear, they predict the future. They do. Well, Marx doesn't talk about a future. Marx is down to a very few sentences on it, and I think, and I'm going to paraphrase, and I'm sure I'm wrong, but it's to each according to his need, and from each according to his ability. That's it. Carl, I mean, when other people take, they start talking about these societies in the future, and believe me, I mean, they certainly are available to you. In North Korea, they were available to you under Mao. They were available to you under Lenin, and certainly under Stalin. Those societies were more than ever were available, but they were just this, and this is one of the ways that the Marxist and university systems and just plain old commies, well, they get away with it because it's, the thing is that Marxism has just never been done right. If we do it right, they will tell you, then we got the Mungambo. But Stalin screwed it up, and Lenin, although we adore Lenin because of the Bolsheviks, we love Mao, but the Kims in Korea are a whole other ballgame. But you can see where the state becomes everything, and you are just simply part of it. But in the end, and Marx, who is very prolific, mainly as a historian, but he says when the time comes and the state will wither away And what will be left is I will take care of you and you will take care of me. I will not own my home. I'll just live in it. And when I die, remember, blood, sweat, and tears. And when I die, be one child left in the world. And somebody else will take the house. My food will be supplied. Whatever I need will be supplied to me. And what I have to give, suppose I make candles. I will then make candles all day and give these candles away. Or whatever I do. I do a radio show, one like this, but I do this radio show, and then I would be taken care of. And to each, according to his need, what do I need? And from each, according to his ability, what can I do? And again, sometimes, someplace, somewhere. So when I hear things like new Mayor Johnston, all I can think of is it's echoes of Karl Marx. It's, and after all of those people, and then the Frankfurt School, there are plenty of people who were great readers out there in the Frankfurt School. Then the Nazis rise. So the Frankfurt School boogies, where do they go? Columbia University. And, these guys all show up. And we have, CPUSA, but those are all for another time. But how much of this sounds like what the great line that Bob Cote said was, do for me what I will not do for myself. Take care of me. I want to remain, and I mean, we used to call them junkies, stuffers. That's what they are. I remember one time Cal Clark was upset because, and it was obviously talking about this radio show back when it was full time, that I dare use a term called junkies. No, they're junkies. The only successful, and I was trying to explain this to somebody, the only successful time and place that anybody really turned this back was Mao. And the British and the Americans, with the help of the Americans and the French and other imperialists, addicted a country. We've talked about this before. Brought opium into China during the time of the end of the royal houses of the Chinese, and then later it goes into civil war and comes out with Sun Yat-sen and Chiang, and those stories. So the opium was brought in. And there was something called the Opium Wars, and the Chinese have to surrender Macau to the Portuguese and Hong Kong to the British, and those were the opium treaties. But we addicted a country, and I say this before, and I'll say it again. Not lost on the Chinese who are addicting us to fentanyl. It's exactly what we collectively. FDR's grandfather. I mean, there's a bunch of I think one of the early Bushes, not Prescott, but beyond. I think before Prescott, they were involved in it. They were opium traders, and they got the opium the same place they get the opium now, Afghanistan, in the Kush, in Pakistan, and they muled that into China, and they traded it for tea, and they traded it for gold, but they addicted the Chinese. And the Chinese today are addicting the Americans with fentanyl. But we have just like the Mandarins cooperated for money. This is the Mandarin class. Johnston and these people, they're the Mandarins. It dawned on me, they're the modern Mandarins. And so listen to the things they say. Or are they just modern Marxists? Or what in the five times are they? But you talk about blowing smoke. It's like this blowing smoke. Listen to these things. Billy Thorpe has placed together a collection. I mean, Uncle Carl could have been saying this stuff. So Billy, let's you want to have a dream? Does want to talk about it? I mean, don't you can't You can't con the con man. You can't bull the bullers. You can't snow the snowman. Are you the snowman? He's the snowman. He's in there one day, boys. Here it comes. Billy, click it if you would.
But for us to succeed, every Denverite must take their own oath. An oath to dream, to serve, and to deliver. The essence of democracy is that it calls on our ability to do something that feels unnatural. To love those who are different than us. To believe in them, to work with them, to sacrifice for them, to deliver for them. That is our dream of Denver.
From each according to his need, to each according to his ability. Now, this is my favorite one about we're going to really take care of you. We're going to give you a house. All right, we got to find, I mean, we have a bunch of these, and he pledged, all right, ready? This is my gift for all of you. This is in 20 seconds or more. Can you describe Karl Marx? Can you? Yes.
We will get you a home. We will get you help. We will get you healed.
See? I mean, this is like, it's incredible. And it's a cycle of hope. It's up with hope, down with dope. Remember, I mean, all the stupid things that are said. Nancy Reagan, just say no. Well, that's okay. This is the cycle of hope.
How we put our arms around those stuck in a cycle of hurt, and it's how we pull this city back into a cycle of hope.
Right. It's too bad we don't have any bridges for sale. James, you're on a radio show. Good morning and thank you.
Hey, Peter, it's been a while since I called you, but then every once in a while you hit on a subject that really hits home with me. I have 15 years clean,
wow.
April 9th, and my life, I was homeless and I was living on the streets and criminal, etc. But the greatest gift that I had ever received in recovery was when I was arrested and I went to the penitentiary. I had a couple of years to get my head together and think about what I wanted to do. There are no consequences for these people on the streets now. They're running the show.
They're victims.
They're victims, and it's sickening. I am so successful with my life right now. It is just remarkable.
Do you mind if I ask you a couple of things?
Yeah.
Okay. Where'd you do the time?
Buena Vista, and then I went to Bent County.
Oh man!
And I also went through the TC program at Arrowhead.
How old were you?
46.
Whoa!
And that was 25. That was 25 years of addiction.
Yeah.
And I finally made the decision at 46 to turn around. I was in Denver and Decay with Stephen Tubbs.
Oh, I
was
know.
in the documentary.
Sure. What was the beef? Why'd you end up in prison?
Yeah, guess what? So I was strung out on 3 grams of heroin a day, and I attempted to steal a mountain bike. Attempted.
Oh yeah, sure.
Out of a garage.
Yeah.
This is April 9th of 2009 when they still arrested you for doing stuff like that.
How many?
And I went into court and I said, Your Honor, I'm guilty. I did it. I tried to steal a bicycle. She said, based on your record, 6 years, Department of Corrections.
Boom.
Straight up. Yeah.
Here's the
best thing ever happened to me.
When people talk now about they're getting their bikes stolen and their catalytic converters and all stuff, it's junkies.
Yes.
It's not tough, is it?
No. Especially if you do not, you know as well as I do in the 12-step programs, you got to go through, you got to do the work, you got to make amends, you got to look at yourself and fall in love with yourself. Unless you do that, unless you preach that in recovery, this city is going to get worse. The country's going to get worse.
Guarantee it.
It's just horrible.
Have you heard anything from this mayor?
He looks like a younger version of Hickenlooper. Same face, same everything. I wouldn't doubt if he's part owner of Cricket on the Hill.
No, well,
I wouldn't doubt it.
Hickenlooper was, but or not.
Yeah.
But my point is, this is the same, and I'll use the term again, verbal diarrhea that Hickenlooper, and I mean and once you thought there really can't be a worse mayor than Federico Pena and what he and Roy Romer in the airport and all the other con jobs. Then you think, there comes Hickenlooper. Wow, you can't get a worse mayor than this guy.
No, and then this guy's really going to be bad.
And then you get Hancock, and you go, Hancock, and now you got, this guy's out of the box his first day, but they're blowing smoke.
I got a question for you, Peter.
Sure.
Do you know anybody who is a successful person that votes for any of these people that are bringing the country down?
I do.
Do you?
Yeah, because
I don't.
No, but hear me out. First of all, the Republican Party's in such disarray. But number two, political correctness and liberal thought has now become almost mandatory to exist. And this guy gives this ridiculous dream thing. And there are people out there it's like religion. They so want to believe. And that was the interesting thing, again, on quantum jumping, but about Marxists. Marxists really believe that they can build this entire peaceful world. And it's almost like the jihadis believe that. And
yeah.
I mean, I can find you from all over the world. I mean, you can remove just the title and stick that peg into the hole, and you got the same guy.
Peter, I got one last thing to say, and I'm going to tell you, when I was a stone cold drug addict, career criminal, and they started talking the stuff like this, I'd say, boy, we sure got them people fooled.
Oh.
They have no clue who we are, what we're doing, the evil that we bring upon the earth.
Yes.
And you're sitting there co-signing it.
I'm sure.
Oh, bring it on.
That's why
I'll take the free food stamps and the money and all that.
That's why they all hated Cote. They would not go in there. Bob.
Yeah, I knew him too. Yeah. I Step 13, Pier 1, Senate Corps. Yeah. I was a graduate of all of them.
Oh yeah, sure.
And unless we wake up, the people that are kind of running the show with this feel sorry for all these people. If we continue to allow them to dictate the terms, we're in real trouble. Doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. But it really doesn't.
But what the Democrat and the progressive liberal PC person, first of all, one of the things that makes Marx work is everybody has to be a victim. And so you watch our society today, and victimhood has become a way of life. And everybody is a victim of something. And so if you read Herbert Marcuse, and you read Marcuse in particular, but others as well, you'll see the model, and the model's being played out. It's being played out well. I mean, as good as it's ever been. It's been attempted before and been turned back. But I had lunch with an old friend on Sunday. We just knocked around and had lunch together, and he never talked about it. And he said, "Where's it go?" I said, well, "This country, United States of America, we're about to become Great Britain. That's
yeah." We need you on the radio 7 days a week.
Oh, well, that's kind.
I'm going to come out of retirement. Sorry.
Tubbs is there. I'm going to grab him. My boy, Stephen Tubbs, who just came out of the press conference. All right, what did you hear, Stephen, every afternoon? And of course, he's my friend. Hey, man. Good morning.
Hi, brother. Good morning. So, literally within the last 5 minutes, this thing wrapped up. A press conference, his first one in his first full day as mayor. We're talking about new Mayor Mike Johnston, and this was the number one priority they wanted to get out, and that is homelessness, Pete. And let me just cut to my own chase. This is same old, same old.
Sure.
Same old, same old. So they are going to, and they have by executive order by the mayor of Denver, they have declared a state of emergency when it comes to the homeless issue. The Emergency Operations Center will be open at minimum for the next 7 days.
There you go.
Johnston's goal is to have 1,000 people currently on the streets as we speak have a home or shelter by the end of this year. I tried to get the question toward the end, is this just Denver's Road Home Part 2? He said he would answer it. Kovaleski then asked a question. He kind of came back, said he didn't answer the question.
No,
I wish this man a lot of luck, Pete, but I'm looking at him standing here on the second level of the city and county building. The flags are there. He's surrounded by all of the members of city council. These people have been there a long time. He may be new. They're not. And if this is so bad, why didn't anybody that was standing around him pipe up? They didn't take any questions. No. They didn't speak.
No.
I mean, again, I wish this man the best of luck, but this is just same old, same old, same old.
If it was going to work, it would have worked. You know, if
right?
I mean, if it was going to work, it would have worked. That's been said many, many times about all kinds of economic plans or, whatever it is. If it was going to work, it would have worked. And it isn't going to work. But this guy, and I've said, it's like his first day, stomp him now.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, you know what? He's a very, very likable guy. He's very smooth and very, very good on camera.
Okay.
He handled his first press conference here on day one very, very well. But when it comes to forget talking about all the ingredients.
But you're asking, these are the people. This is central casting. These are the John Kerrys of the world. This is how this is how you build a political career. This is the kind.
Brother, I know this. I'm telling you what he did, what he's doing down here on his first full press conference, day one, is he's giving you all those great ingredients. They're all laid out there, man. They are fresh from Trader Joe's and Whole Foods, man. They taste great. But it's when you put them all together, what's the final result of this recipe?
More.
I'm telling you, he wouldn't answer.
Can't.
You and I are about probably two of the media members in this state that are familiar with Denver's Road Home. He wouldn't answer whether this was part 2. He doesn't want to think it is. But you know what? I'm looking at all the bozos around him, and I'm thinking, you all either condoned this. Some of you may have even been around, starting your political career when this was all the buzz. Denver's Road Home didn't work. It was the biggest boondoggle in city history. And I just don't see how this is going to work, no matter how many emergency declarations you make.
Remember when the hard hitters like Kyle Clark and the Denver Post and other outlets, they just let the Road Home just go away. It just went off we don't talk about that anymore.
Right.
And the same thing was true with anything that Hancock's pulled. And that's all gone. And each time you think there can't be somebody worse, there's always somebody worse. And so this guy is smooth. He's a smooth operator. He's an Ivy League kid. He comes from some money. And one of the smartest things that came was a text this morning said, this guy's going to be the next governor. And I thought to myself, I wish I'd been smart enough to say
I can see it.
Yeah,
I can see it.
All right, Bubba.
Yeah, we'll have a full recap today at 4.
Right.
I want this man to succeed if for one reason, to get the crap off of the streets of Denver. But you know what? Good luck.
Stephan, it's the sorcerer's stone. It doesn't exist. Not under this stuff. It would under the Cote Tough Love. But then these are victims, you understand? These are victims of capitalism. These are victims of, whatever the hell they're victims of.
You know what? One word, Pete, and you and I have talked about this off the air, on the air for years. The one word that was not used today, at least I didn't pick it up. I've been calling it the A word.
Oh, yeah.
And that would be, speaking of Cote, that would be accountability.
Sure.
There was zero reference to it's what we can do for all of these people. I tried to ask him, Pete, what do you do with the homeless that will not leave? We've seen sweeps. Some men and women do not want to leave the street.
No, of course not.
And he gave some fluffy cockamamie answer.
Look, they know in advance who the right guy. I mean, look, when Joe Biden's got the list and the names of these people in front. I mean, look, this guy.
Hey, stand by. Listen. sorry to interrupt you on, your fill-in
please.
show. I gotta put the phone to somebody who absolutely thinks you have sucked for decades on Denver radio. I present to you Tony Kovaleski.
That's my
from
guy.
Channel 7.
Kovo.
Here's Pete.
Kovo.
Are we on the phone or are we on the air?
We're on the
You're
air.
on the air.
We're on the air,
We're
sir.
on the air?
Yeah.
Wow. You still have a job?
No, actually, I don't.
I thank the world of you, my friend.
Listen,
very interesting news conference. You and this Mr. Tubbs guy are pretty darn good.
Well,
I'm honored to call you both friends.
Well, this is Tony Kovaleski, who's going to do the shoot with us. I think he's going to sit in our YouTube show. I think a week from. Did we do a week from Wednesday or Thursday? I'm sitting in the studio right now, but I think we're lined up either that or the following week after that he's going to come in and talk about his career.
Your people are going to talk to my people. We're going to make something happen.
Like we both got people, right? Thank you, my friend. Thanks, Stefan, too. I'll talk to you. Thank you.
I'll pass the phone back to him.
All right. Hey, Baba.
You can't be trying to. Hey, don't try to be planning the shoot on my time.
With Kovaleski, no, we're going to do it Thursday morning or Wednesday morning. I don't know.
I'm busting your butt.
What's a
Hey,
great?
I love you. Thanks for letting me pop on.
Thanks,
I told
Steph.
Billy when I called, I'm like, this is old times. So I love you, brother.
Talk to you. Bye. All right, we come back and open lines 303-696-1971. I'm Peter Boyles, sitting in for the one and only George Brauchler, 710 KNUS.
Imagine the lifelong impact of a journey to the Holy Land, surrounded by like-minded travelers. Picture yourself stepping foot in iconic locations right out of history. With nationally syndicated radio hosts Dennis Prager and Mike Gallagher, you'll gain firsthand understanding of the spiritual and political importance of this vital region.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher here. I hope you'll join Dennis Prager and me on an amazing journey through Israel in October 2023.
Discover Israel's vibrant culture and why this nation is such a strategic partner for the United States. Join Dennis Prager and Mike Gallagher on this life-enriching Israel tour, October 25th through November 3rd, 2023. For more information, call 855-565-5519 or visit standwithisraeltour.com. Imagine the lifelong impact of a
Peter Boyles in for George Brauchler, who's back here tomorrow morning. He'll do it again. I'll be there Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, part of the show, most important part, a couple hours with Jeff Decker on Saturday morning. 95 will be the high today, 88 on Wednesday, Thursday, 83, and Friday, Saturday, it goes in the 90s and all's well. 303-696-1971. We go through periods of jam lines, and then it goes to open lines. And right now, we're at this moment where it's all open lines. If you want to join the show, you're getting a busy signal, 303-696-1971, and be the first on your block to rule the world. So you can call 303-696-1971. You really get in. Do you really think this? Denver, after the most destructive mayors, I mean, Hancock was, borderline criminal. Hickenlooper, I have no descriptions for that, except Hickenlooper goes on to become a senator, which is, I don't know where the payoff is. I think, and it was not an original idea of mine, but I think this new mayor, I think he's got his eyes on the prize, but it just doesn't matter. Do you really think that this guy is going to end homelessness? Of course not. If he's the smartest guy in the world, why haven't they pulled this stunt in San Fran or Seattle or get on a list of places, Chicago, that have been literally wrecked by homelessness? So this is the one guy, right, who was some Ivy League joker who was part of the teachers union. He's got all the checks. He's got all the stamps. Do you really think that this guy is going to turn the corner? All right, Ralph, you're on a radio show, man. Good morning. Thanks for calling.
Hi, Pete. Like I've heard you and I've heard Mike Rosen talk about all these different mayors. Everyone has a little buzzword that they're going to end homelessness. But it's like trying to paint a pig. It's the same thing. It never changes. You know human nature. I believe in evolution. You believe in evolution. There's defects. There are people who don't want to be helped. There are people who have addictions. You know that.
Sure.
And here, Johnston goes on, we're going to get you help. We're going to turn your life around. Oh, come on.
Well, no, it goes back. If you think Lyndon Johnson had something called the Great Society. And, every administration, Jack Kennedy was the New Frontier, and Harry Truman was a Square Deal, and FDR was a New Deal. And
how about Reagan? We got the shining city on the hill.
Oh yeah, no, that was a smart speech. That kind of stuff was. Yeah. But Ronald, your point's so well taken that if somebody there's a great line in history that if it was going to happen, it would have happened. So this is the one guy, this Johnston character, who was just getting his ticket punched because I love the guy. Told me this guy's going to run for governor. Of course he is. And then he wants something else. They all do. He kind of looks like a young Bobby Kennedy. He's got the look. He's got, the no tie look. He's got the lovely family. They got the look. I know the look when I see it. You know the look.
Sure.
I'm surprised. Usually you see the guy, he's got an expensive sport coat on, but he has it over his shoulder. He's walking he's walking through a park and there's a bunch of leaves and he's got the beautiful blonde old lady and he's got the golden retriever running ahead of him and he's carrying one of the kids. And, we've seen it all before.
But I agree. There are people who will get help and who need help and will volunteer. But you've been saying for years, Bob Cote said it, never ever give them money. You want to give them water when they're on the street corner begging a sandwich, fine. Never give them money. You're killing them on the installment plan.
Oh, yeah. Cote, he always had those tickets and we always had those tickets. And, like they were good for a free meal and a place to spend the night. You couldn't give them a hot UA. That was out. And And all of the times that Bob handed out those free ones, he had one.
I remember
Ralph,
you talking
one,
about that.
one come back and say, I'll take a flop and a hot meal. And
so what happens
something
a
happened.
year from now?
Oh,
Pete, what
please.
happens a year from now
when Kyle Clark forgets it, when Kyle Clark no longer remembers?
Yeah, he just moves on to the next problem.
Yeah. No, this is the gimmick. And why can this guy now do what Hickenlooper couldn't do? Why can this guy now do what the mayor of Seattle couldn't do? But now, boy, he's going to do it. Listen, I'm getting blasted to take a break. Love you. Back after this. Hang on, everyone. I'm Peter Boyles, in for George, 710 KNUS. Got about 30 seconds left. Peter Boyles for George Brauchler. It's been a gas. I mean, I've been gearing up on this joker, and I'm thinking, put me in, coach. I don't smoke. And I got the opportunity this morning to speak about, and it just hit right because we had the prom last night and the presser, and Stefan is hot to trot for this afternoon. And I'm back on Saturday morning at 9, and we'll do 9 to noon. And I'm back. That's right. I'm a couple of days next week. On Wednesday, Friday next week, I could go back and do this again. Music's on 710knus.com is the website. Take a look at the producers and the piece on John Bandimere. Thank you, John Bandimere. Billy Thorpe, you made it welcome for me to come back in there. And George, thanks. I'm back next week to do George on Saturday at 9. And part of that will be the one, the only Jeff Decker. All right, everybody, take care of yourselves. Thank you for listening.